Heaven is not silent today, it's calling your name with divine urgency. This is not another ordinary message. It's a sacred summons from the throne room of God. You've prayed for clarity, you've waited for confirmation, and here it is. Heaven is saying, you've delayed long enough. It's time to say yes, even if it costs you everything. This is your final assignment before the next chapter of your destiny unfolds. Every angel assigned to your calling is leaning in, waiting for your surrender. You are standing at the edge of divine history, and one decision will define everything that follows. When God speaks like this, it isn't to pressure, it's to position. He doesn't call the comfortable, he calls the courageous. The Lord said in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, that before you were even formed, he already appointed you. That means your purpose existed before your pain, and your assignment was written before your fear was born. Heaven is not negotiating with your hesitation, it's awakening your obedience. You've wrestled long enough between faith and fear. You've analyzed, delayed, and reasoned your way out of the call, but the moment has arrived where your surrender must be louder than your excuses. You cannot keep waiting for ideal conditions when you've been anointed for impossible missions. The Spirit is stirring within you not to make life easy, but to make destiny inevitable. Romans 13 verse 11 reminds you that it is already the hour to wake up from sleep, for your salvation is nearer than when you first believed. This is not just a season of opportunity, it's a summons to accountability. God is not asking for partial obedience, He's requiring complete surrender. When you yield, the atmosphere shifts. Every time you obey, the kingdom of darkness trembles. The cost of obedience may seem high, but the cost of disobedience is destiny delayed. What God is asking from you might strip you of comfort, but it will clothe you in calling. The assignments of heaven were never meant to fit into human schedules. You were not created to live cautiously. You were created to live consecrated. Every surrender to God is a declaration that your faith outweighs your fear and your purpose outweighs your pride. There's something powerful about a heart that answers without hesitation. Heaven records every yes and hell regrets every surrender. When you finally let go of control, divine order begins to flow. You might lose temporary comfort, but you'll gain eternal significance. You might lose approval from people, but you'll gain affirmation from heaven. Luke 9 verse 62 says that no one who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom. In other words, once you've been called, there's no turning back, the only direction left is forward. You've been through too much to stop here. The fire that tried to break you was only meant to refine your faith. The resistance you faced was proof of your relevance in the Spirit. Everything you've lost in the process will return multiplied through your obedience. When God gives an assignment, He already provides the grace to complete it. He never calls you to something He hasn't equipped you to carry. The heavens are aligned. The time is ripe. This is your divine appointment with destiny. You are not being asked to give up everything, you are being invited to gain everything that truly matters. Heaven has written your name beside this mission, and the throne is waiting for one answer, your yes. You see, you didn't stumble into this life. You were sent here on purpose from eternity into time, carrying an assignment heaven could not entrust to another. Every breath you take is evidence that God still has a plan unfolding through you. You are not the result of coincidence, you are the revelation of divine intention. Heaven didn't just release you into the world, it strategically placed you at a specific moment in history, in a generation that needs exactly what you carry. Long before you were aware of your identity, heaven had already declared your calling. When Ephesians 2 verse 10 declares that you are God's workmanship, it means you are His masterpiece, crafted with deliberate precision for good works, prepared long before you were born. That means your existence isn't reactionary, it's prophetic. You are not here to blend in, but to break through. Every detail of your life, even the painful parts, carries the fingerprints of divine design. Nothing about your journey has been wasted. Every detour, delay, and disappointment has been part of the divine rehearsal for destiny. God used what hurt you to train what He placed in you. Your life didn't begin when you took your first breath. It began when God spoke your name in eternity. Before time began, He whispered your purpose into existence and sent you forth as an answer to a cry the world hadn't yet made. Isaiah 49 verse 1 reveals that before you were born, God called your name. That means your life was announced in heaven before you ever appeared on earth. You are not just living, you are fulfilling prophecy. Every season that tried to break you was proof that heaven had invested something in you worth fighting for. When the storms came, they weren't meant to destroy you, but to strengthen your endurance. You were never being punished, you were being prepared. Heaven trains its warriors in silence and secrecy before revealing them to the world. The enemy recognized your potential before you did. That's why the battles came early. He doesn't waste energy on the ordinary. He only fights what carries a threat. If you've been under attack, it's not a sign of weakness, it's confirmation of assignment. The greater your warfare, the louder your calling speaks in the Spirit. Psalm 37 verse 23 says, "The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord." That means nothing about your path has been random. Even the moments you thought were detours were divine redirections. Every closed door was a setup for an appointed one. God didn't let you miss what was yours. He was saving you from what wasn't. You have been walking on a divine blueprint even when you couldn't see the lines beneath your feet. Heaven has been choreographing every move, ensuring that you arrive exactly where your purpose needs you most. It's easy to question the meaning behind your pain when you can't see the pattern, but every piece is part of God's strategy. You are not merely surviving, you are fulfilling divine architecture. What felt like delay was actually design. Every moment of isolation was God shielding you from premature exposure. He couldn't let you be discovered before you were developed. The anointing you carry had to mature before it could be revealed, because premature promotion can destroy untested oil. You are heaven's strategy for this generation. God saw the confusion of this age, the darkness, the division, and He sent you as a light uniquely shaped to pierce it. That's why you don't fit in, you were never meant to. You carry a frequency this world doesn't understand but desperately needs. The enemy cannot destroy what God designed. He can only distract it. Every time you stand in faith, you remind hell that purpose cannot be silenced. And with that purpose comes a call. Every divine sending comes with a sacred summons to respond. God's plan has never failed, but people often do when they hesitate. Heaven's timeline isn't waiting for another sign. It's waiting for your obedience. The door that looks closed isn't locked. It's just waiting for your surrender. Every delay in destiny is rarely demonic. It's often the result of hesitation. The voice of God doesn't speak to inform you, it speaks to invite you into divine motion. When you respond with faith, the entire kingdom shifts to make room for what you've agreed to carry. Deuteronomy 28 verse 1 declares that if you diligently obey the voice of the Lord, blessings will overtake you. Notice it doesn't say you must chase them, it says they will chase you. That's the power of responding to God. It magnetizes miracles. The moment you act on what He said, everything connected to your name begins to align. Your yes is the key that opens doors for generations yet to be born. The ripple effect of a single act of obedience can alter bloodlines, heal nations, and rewrite histories. God doesn't measure success by visibility, but by surrender. Heaven isn't impressed by gifts, it's moved by commitment. Your yes holds more weight than you realize. It's not just for your breakthrough, it's for the people assigned to your faithfulness. Somewhere, someone's deliverance is waiting on your alignment. The Spirit of God doesn't move through comfort, He moves through surrender. When you yield, you become a channel of divine power. The miracles you've been praying for are often waiting on your action. The delay isn't proof that God is ignoring you, it's proof He's waiting for your cooperation. 1 Samuel 15 verse 22 reminds us that God desires partnership more than ritual. That verse isn't a cliché, it's a warning. Sacrifice looks impressive, but following God's instructions changes history. Many people offer sacrifices to avoid surrender. They give time, effort, and even worship, but still refuse to do the one thing God asked. The tragedy isn't disobedience, it's partial compliance. Half steps never open full doors. When God says move, he means fully, not halfway, not someday, but completely. The Spirit of God doesn't honor delay disguised as discernment. Some believers call it waiting on confirmation, but often heaven is waiting on commitment. Fear will always whisper reasons to hesitate. What if it fails? What if it costs too much? But faith whispers louder. What if following God changes everything? He isn't asking for your comfort. He's asking for your courage. Every instruction carries divine protection. John 14 verse 23 declares that those who love God act on his voice. Love isn't proven by emotion, it's proven by execution. Real faith doesn't just believe God, it behaves like he's already right. You don't need another sign when you already have a word. Heaven responds to action. Every time you hesitate, something in the spirit realm pauses. Angels can't move until your agreement activates them. That's why delayed response often feels like spiritual stagnation. It halts what heaven is ready to release. Every divine instruction carries a chain of miracles attached to it. When Abraham obeyed and left everything familiar, a covenant was born that still blesses nations. When Moses responded to the voice from the burning bush, deliverance came to millions. When Mary said yes to the angel, redemption stepped into flesh. That same obedience carries world-changing power. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your agreement. Following God is the language heaven understands. It's not about convenience, it's about covenant. Every time you surrender, you announce to the spirit realm that God can trust you. And trust is the true currency of the kingdom. The moment you move, heaven mobilizes. Angels are dispatched, paths open, chains break. What once resisted you begins to cooperate. You are not waiting for breakthrough. Breakthrough is waiting for you to obey. The Spirit is not calling you to comfort, but to courage. What God placed inside you will never manifest through safety. It will only rise through surrender. Your yes is heaven's green light. When you move, angels are released to make way. When you act, destiny accelerates. And when you obey God's plan, once delayed bursts into motion. Beloved, not every battle comes with thunder and smoke. Some arrive quietly, dressed as convenience, comfort, or curiosity. The enemy doesn't always roar. Sometimes he whispers through busyness, notifications, and noise. The most dangerous attacks aren't the ones that scare you. They're the ones that slowly drain your focus until calling feels distant. What looks harmless often hides the intention to detour destiny. The adversary doesn't need to destroy your mission. He only needs to divide your attention. The war for your destiny is fought in minutes and moments. Every time you trade stillness for distraction, you surrender the ground of clarity. Satan knows he can't take what God gave you, so he keeps you occupied until you forget you have it. He steals through subtlety, not shock. Distraction is the art of spiritual pickpocketing. It takes your awareness of heaven while letting you believe you're still in control. Hebrews 12 verse 1-2 reminds us to lay aside every weight that slows us down, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. You can't run the race of destiny while carrying the weight of noise. There's a reason you've felt spiritual fatigue lately. It's not because your spirit is weak, but because the world keeps fighting for your focus. The enemy studies your rhythm. He knows how to replace prayer with scrolling, worship with worry, and vision with performance. What begins as harmless delay becomes habitual distance. But the Spirit of God is calling you back to alignment, to that sacred focus where obedience feels natural and distractions lose power. Every wasted moment is an altar where the enemy celebrates delay. He doesn't mind if you believe in your calling as long as you never walk in it. Proverbs 4 verse 25 to 27 urges us to fix our gaze straight ahead and avoid turning to the right or left. That's not just about morality, it's about momentum. Destiny requires direction. You can't finish what you're called to if you keep stopping to compare your pace with someone else's race. Comparison is one of hell's most efficient distractions. It tricks you into measuring calling by visibility instead of obedience. The enemy loves to whisper that you're behind, forgotten, or unqualified. But God's timeline is not chronological, it's covenantal. He prepares in secret before he reveals in public. Your path may look delayed, but it's divine. Every unseen season is a rehearsal for revelation. Stay focused. Heaven doesn't need your speed, it needs your surrender. The greatest warfare isn't always fought with words, it's fought with attention. Focus is your most potent weapon, because what you fix your eyes on, you empower. The serpent couldn't take Adam's authority, so he distracted his attention. He couldn't strip Eve of her anointing, so he redirected her curiosity. What the enemy can't destroy, he distracts. That's why Jesus said in Matthew 6 verse 33, to seek first the kingdom of God and everything else would follow. Seek first not after comfort, not after convenience, but first. Distraction doesn't always look evil. Sometimes it looks acceptable. It hides in endless planning without execution, in good ideas that replace God instructions, in busyness that mimics productivity but produces no fruit. The enemy offers comfort to those who stop moving. He feeds contentment with mediocrity and numbs urgency with approval. But divine purpose demands discipline. Heaven is not impressed by motion, it moves with focus. You've been chosen to build something eternal, but eternity requires endurance. God rewards consistency, not convenience. Stay faithful when it feels slow. Stay disciplined when it feels dry, and stay focused when it feels lonely. The noise around you is proof that something significant is unfolding. When hell sends distractions, it's because heaven has already released direction. Every second you spend focused builds the kingdom. Every time you silence the noise to hear God's whisper, you reclaim territory the enemy tried to occupy. The world may celebrate speed, but heaven celebrates stillness. Keep your eyes on Jesus, your hands on the plow, and your heart undivided. Because every distraction you defeat today becomes a testimony of endurance tomorrow. And when heaven sees you focused, it tests your willingness to obey. Your commitment to God will always cost you something, but refusing it will cost you everything. Obedience sounds beautiful until it requires surrender. Saying yes isn't a line in a prayer. It's a lifestyle that interrupts comfort and exposes the heart. Heaven doesn't hide the price because the price reveals the value. Every calling carries a cross before it ever carries a crown. Jesus said in Luke 14 verse 27 that whoever does not carry their cross and follow him cannot be his disciple. The path of divine purpose is paved with sacrifice, not applause. God never misleads you about what following him will require. He doesn't promise ease, he promises presence. The invitation to respond is an invitation to transformation. It rearranges your desires, tests your motives, and purifies your intentions. Every time you surrender, something in you breaks so something greater can be born. Acting on God's call is not punishment, it's partnership. You are not losing freedom. You are exchanging it for divine authority. Matthew 16 verse 24 reminds us that to follow Christ, you must deny yourself, take up your cross and move forward. The cross isn't a symbol of defeat, it's the doorway to destiny. When you respond, you won't just lose things, you'll outgrow them. God uses submission as a filter to separate what's attached to your comfort from what's aligned with your calling. Some relationships will fade, some opportunities will vanish, and some doors will close, but every closed door is protection in disguise. Heaven never takes without intention. What feels like loss is usually the pruning of purpose. When you release what's comfortable, you make room for what's eternal. Following God will make you misunderstood. People who once celebrated your potential may question your process. Some will call your choices arrogance because they can't comprehend your assignment. Others will assume you're changing when in truth you're becoming who you were always meant to be. God allows misunderstanding to refine your focus. You weren't called to be understood. You were called to be faithful. Romans 8 verse 18 declares that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed. The cost is temporary. The reward is eternal. There's a sacred beauty in the losses obedience brings. When you commit, God often removes what you thought you needed to show you He is enough. He uses loss to birth loyalty, not because He wants to break you, but because He wants to anchor you. Each sacrifice is a seed, and seeds must fall before they rise. Every time you let go of something for the sake of following Him, you're proving that heaven means more to you than convenience. You're declaring that your trust in God outweighs your attachment to comfort. The cost often arrives disguised as isolation. It will feel like everyone else is moving ahead while you're standing still. But stillness isn't stagnation, it's strategy. God hides those He's preparing to reveal. The wilderness isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where God strengthens your commitment until it's unbreakable. When the applause fades and the silence grows loud, that's when surrender becomes worship. The altar of surrender is built not on emotion but on endurance. Jesus showed us that following God can hurt but still heal. His commitment was not comfortable, but it was redemptive. He carried the cross not because it was easy, but because eternity depended on it. Every drop of pain became a fountain of salvation. That same divine pattern lives in you. Your willingness might bring tears, but it also births transformation. What you release in trust, God always returns in glory. Friend, every moment after obedience becomes a test of timing. Heaven has a clock, and your time on it is running. Every second in this life is divine currency. The night is coming when no one can work, as Jesus declared in John 9 verse 4. You were not created to exist in delay, but to respond to divine timing. Procrastination has robbed more destinies than persecution ever could. The kingdom doesn't move by convenience, it moves by conviction. When heaven speaks, hesitation is disobedience dressed in politeness. Time is the one resource you can never reclaim. You can recover opportunities, relationships, and even finances, but not time. Every tick of the clock is a whisper from eternity, reminding you that your purpose won't wait forever. Romans 13 verse 12 declares that the night is far spent and the day is at hand. It's heaven's reminder that the season for action is here. Waiting for the perfect moment is a deception of fear. There is no perfection in hesitation. God's will rarely aligns with comfort, but it always aligns with timing. When you delay your obedience, you dishonor divine order. Every delay disrespects heaven's schedule. The Spirit doesn't operate on human calendars. He works in Kairos, God's appointed time. You can't ask heaven to accelerate blessings while you move at the speed of excuses. Divine favor responds to movement, not indecision. Ephesians 5 verse 15 to 16 urges you to walk wisely, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Each wasted minute becomes a doorway for distraction to enter. Every postponed step toward purpose empowers the enemy's agenda to delay destiny. Urgency is faith's twin. It acts without waiting for full understanding. True faith never asks for proof before moving. It simply trusts the voice of God. When Abraham left his homeland, he didn't have the full map, only a divine word. That's what responding under urgency looks like: trust that walks, even when sight can't follow. Heaven measures your faith not by your prayers, but by your pace. Your response speed reveals how much you trust the one who called you. When God says move, the only appropriate answer is yes, without delay, without negotiation. Every generation depends on someone's yes. Your choices carry generational weight. There are blessings, breakthroughs, and movements waiting on your decision. Heaven's timeline is connected to earthly action. What you postpone doesn't just affect you, it postpones the destiny of others attached to your purpose. Delayed response keeps miracles waiting in line. Somewhere, someone's answered prayer is locked inside your commitment. When you move, heaven moves with you. The Spirit's urgency isn't pressure, it's precision. He knows what's ahead, and He calls you to act before the window closes. Opportunities are not eternal. They're divine invitations with expiration dates. God opens doors for a season, not a lifetime. Many miss their moment because they're still negotiating with comfort, while heaven is calling for courage. When God says now, it's not a suggestion, it's a summons. Every command from heaven carries both instruction and timing. To separate them is to forfeit power. Wasting time is not harmless, it's spiritual rebellion. When you delay what God said to do, you're not just postponing action, you're resisting His authority. The enemy doesn't always distract with sin, he distracts with delay. He whispers, "You have time." Knowing time is the one thing you don't control. The greatest deception is believing tomorrow will always be available. Every moment you spend waiting for later dishonors the divine now. The longer you hesitate, the further heaven has to wait for your alignment to manifest. Beloved, there are souls attached to your obedience, people you may never meet, whose prayers depend on your yes. Heaven doesn't measure purpose by how loud it looks, but by how far it echoes. Every decision made in alignment with God ripples through time, touching hearts you'll never know existed. When Abraham obeyed God, in Genesis 22, verse 17 to 18, heaven declared that his seed would multiply like the stars, and all nations would be blessed through his obedience. That one act became a foundation for faith itself. What you agree to with heaven today will shape the faith of tomorrow. Purpose is never isolated, it's intergenerational. God's assignments are rarely about one lifetime, they are about lineage. When you obey, you're not just saying yes for yourself, you're setting a divine precedent for those coming after you. Your choices either open or close doors for future lives. Psalm 145 verse 4 declares, "One generation shall commend your works to another," meaning every act of trust becomes a story heaven wants retold. The same God who used Abraham's obedience to bless nations can use yours to break patterns, rewrite family stories, and ignite dormant dreams in others. Someone's deliverance is hidden inside your decision. There are prayers ascending to heaven that can only be answered through your alignment with God's will. You may think your role is small, but heaven measures impact by faithfulness, not fame. When Moses answered the call, an entire nation walked out of bondage. When Esther risked her life, countless lives were spared from destruction. God never asks for obedience without already attaching miracles to it. Every divine assignment is a rescue mission for souls you might never see, but were chosen to help set free. The legacy of your trust will outlive your name. Long after your voice fades from earthly memory, your response to God will still speak. Paul reminded Timothy of the faith that first lived in his grandmother Lois and then in his mother Eunice, 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 5. Belief is inherited not through bloodlines, but through conviction passed from heart to heart, life to life. What you conquer now becomes inheritance for those who follow. Your endurance becomes someone else's example. Your persistence in prayer becomes someone else's open door. Heaven records every step you take in alignment with Him. Nothing escapes divine notice. Every sacrifice, every surrendered plan, Every act of trust becomes part of your eternal testimony. You may not see immediate fruit, but heaven's record-keeping never forgets. God writes stories not in moments, but in movements. Each step you take in alignment with His will becomes part of a much larger narrative, a divine continuation that extends beyond your lifetime. Your faithfulness leaves footprints others can follow when their own trust feels weak. When you walk in purpose, history shifts. Kingdom history is not written by those who played it safe, but by those who responded when logic said no. Every time you align your steps with God's word, you alter spiritual geography. Walls fall, hearts open, and destinies awaken. Heaven's multiplication begins when one person decides to fully walk in divine purpose. God doesn't just use you, He multiplies you. He takes your surrender and turns it into countless lives transformed. Through your willingness to obey, others will find courage to pursue their own calling. Chains that run deep through families break through consistent trust. Some battles you face aren't about you. They're about breaking cycles that have lasted for decades. Your perseverance becomes divine resistance against strongholds that once defined your lineage. The enemy fears families who remain faithful because that's where legacy is born. The prayers you whisper today will become the protection your descendants walk under tomorrow. Every act of surrender builds a hedge around your household that no darkness can easily breach. Many are waiting for someone who will say yes when no one else will. You were chosen to carry more than a personal calling. You carry a sacred mantle. The miracles heaven plans through your life will outlive your breath and continue in those who inherit your faith. Say yes now, and your children's children will thank you in eternity, for through your trust in God, the story of redemption continues to unfold. Yet heaven celebrates starters, but it crowns finishers. Many answer the call with excitement, yet only a few endure long enough to see the promise fulfilled. It's easy to say yes when the path glows with possibility, but the true measure of perseverance is found in how you walk when the light dims. The closer you get to completion, the more resistance rises. That's not punishment, it's proof that you're nearing breakthrough. Paul declared in 2 Timothy 4 verse 7, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." That verse isn't about speed, it's about endurance. Heaven rewards not those who run fast, but those who remain faithful until the end. Many begin with passion, few finish with purpose. Passion ignites the journey, but purpose sustains it. Passion can fade when applause stops, when results delay, or when the road becomes lonely. True calling, however, is anchored in something deeper. It remembers why it started. Passion burns hot but quick. Purpose burns slow but steady. Every calling will reach a point where emotion is no longer enough. That's when you learn that finishing isn't about feeling, it's about trust. Galatians 6 verse 9 reminds, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." The reaping is never for those who start, it's for those who stay. The final stretch tests endurance more than the start. The beginning carries excitement, but the ending carries weight. The middle season, where prayers seem unanswered and progress feels invisible, is where many abandon their post. Yet that's often where heaven is preparing the crown. God never called you to begin something halfway. The test near the finish line is strategic. It purifies motive, strengthens perseverance, and reveals authenticity. When fatigue whispers that it's enough, grace whispers louder, "Keep going." Every battle near completion feels heavier because the enemy knows he cannot stop what's already ordained, but he'll try to exhaust the vessel carrying it. Resistance always intensifies near fulfillment. The weight you feel isn't a sign of failure, it's the pressure of birthing destiny. Jesus felt it too. Before declaring, "It is finished," he endured the cross, despised the shame, and carried the greatest burden in human history. If the Savior's victory came through perseverance, so will yours. Strength doesn't come from easy days. It's formed in fiery seasons where you refuse to surrender your assignment. Quitting early dishonors the one who called you. When you give up, you're not just laying down a dream, you're pausing heaven's momentum. God began this journey with you, and Philippians 1 verse 6 assures he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. The divine promise doesn't expire when your strength runs out. Grace picks up where your willpower ends. You were never meant to finish in your own might. The Spirit within you carries the endurance of heaven itself. Every time you feel weak, remember that divine completion isn't about human energy, it's about supernatural empowerment. Strength is refined through focus. The enemy cannot steal what's protected by concentration. Stay locked on the goal, not distracted by delays. When you fix your eyes on the purpose set before you, you silence every voice that tries to detour your progress. Run the race with perseverance, fixing your eyes on the ultimate finisher of faith. He never allowed opposition to alter his course, because he saw beyond the cross into resurrection. You carry that same resurrection power. It fuels every step when your body and heart feel empty. Grace sustains those who refuse to give up. Divine help is not only for beginnings, it's for every moment you feel like you've reached your end. When you stumble, grace steadies you. When you falter, mercy lifts you. Heaven isn't waiting for perfection, it's waiting for perseverance. Completion brings heaven's applause because finishing reflects the nature of God himself. He never leaves anything undone. You didn't come this far to give up. You came this far to finish well, and heaven has already prepared the crown for those who endure to the end. You see, fear whispers, "What if?" But faith declares, "Even if." That single shift separates comfort from calling. It always speaks first. It calculates risks, measures outcomes, and seeks guarantees. But it interrupts the noise and says, "Even if it costs me everything, I still trust him." That's what makes trust in God dangerous to the enemy. It refuses to bow to uncertainty. Isaiah 41 verse 10 reminds fear, "Not for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God." Those words aren't suggestions. They're divine commands wrapped in comfort. God doesn't ask you to deny fear exists. He asks you to deny it authority. Every divine assignment requires a step into the unknown. Belief doesn't need evidence to move, it creates it. The Red Sea didn't part before Moses lifted his staff. It moved when obedience did. Peter didn't walk on water until he stepped out of the boat. Trust acts first, then witnesses the miracle. While hesitation waits for confirmation, belief becomes it. When God called Abraham to leave his homeland, there was no map, no guarantee, no safety net, just a voice and a promise. Yet his trust became the foundation of nations. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7 declares, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." You were never meant to see everything clearly. You were meant to believe anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's obedience despite it. Everyone God ever used felt unqualified. Moses stuttered, Gideon doubted, Esther trembled, and Jeremiah protested that he was too young. Yet heaven's pattern has never changed. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Where hesitation highlights limitation, trust magnifies grace. When you say yes to God, he equips your weakness with his strength. You'll never feel fully ready, but readiness was never the requirement, obedience was. Every battle of the heart is a test of trust. Doubt questions God's timing, while belief rests in his sovereignty. Worry imagines what could go wrong, but trust envisions what God will make right. The same energy used to panic can be redirected into praise. When insecurity says, "You can't handle this," confidence replies, "I was never meant to handle it alone." Joshua 1 verse 9 resounds, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." That verse isn't a comfort phrase, it's a battle cry. God's presence eliminates the need for panic. If He's with you, failure cannot define you. The safest place you'll ever stand is inside God's will. It may not be the easiest, but it's always the most secure. Trust anchors you where logic can't. You may lose support opportunities or approval, but what you gain is divine covering. God never allows reliance to go unrewarded. When you lean on Him beyond comfort, He responds beyond expectation. Every delay, every challenge, every silent night becomes evidence that He's refining your confidence, not removing His promise. Doubt delays, belief activates. When uncertainty tells you to wait for the right moment, trust says the right moment is when God speaks. The longer you hesitate, the louder resistance grows. But when you take the first step, hesitation loses its grip. The walls of Jericho didn't fall because of military strength. They fell because of trust in motion. Heaven partners with those who move even when their knees shake. Your willingness to act, despite uncertainty, becomes the stage where God displays His glory. When you trust the unseen, heaven reveals the impossible. The invisible realm responds to conviction like an echo. It answers the sound of your belief. Miracles are not random. They're responses to wholehearted reliance on God. The moment you dare to believe beyond what your eyes can confirm, heaven opens what logic cannot comprehend. Trust isn't blind. It sees through God's perspective. It perceives victory before evidence appears, healing before the diagnosis changes, and breakthrough before the door swings open. One word yes can move mountains, silence hell, and unlock what heaven has been holding for you. It's more than consent. It's a covenant. Every time you whisper agreement to God, the unseen realm trembles. Darkness loses ground because your alignment gives heaven legal access to intervene on earth. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 20 declares, "For all the promises of God in Him are yes, and in Him amen." That means heaven doesn't move when you plan, it moves when you agree. Your declaration is not small, it's a spiritual detonation that reorders everything around you. Heaven never waited for perfection, it waited for permission. God isn't searching for flawless vessels, He's searching for willing ones. The moment your heart aligns with His will, divine coordination begins. Angels receive their cue. Doors begin to shift. Circumstances start rearranging in your favor. The same response that Mary gave, "Let it be to me according to your word," birthed the greatest miracle in human history. When God finds surrender, He releases strategy. When He hears faith, He manifests fulfillment. Every act of submission sends a signal through eternity, declaring that His kingdom has another willing vessel on earth. Your commitment is spiritual warfare, it dethrones fear. The enemy's greatest weapon isn't always temptation, it's hesitation. He doesn't need to make you fall, he just needs to make you freeze. But the moment you choose to follow fear's grip, breaks. Submission silences hell. James 4 verse 7 says, "Submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Notice the order: submission comes first, then victory follows. You can't rebuke what you haven't first surrendered to God's authority. Your obedience becomes your shield, and your alignment becomes your sword. Every time you choose faith over fear, heaven writes another chapter of triumph through you. The moment you agree to act, divine order begins to align. What looked chaotic begins to make sense. The right people appear, timing synchronizes, and opportunities that once hid themselves suddenly recognize your presence. Heaven has always been ready. It was waiting for your compliance to activate its motion. When Isaiah heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send?" his response, "Here am I, send me," became the turning point of a generation. Isaiah 6 verse 8. That same voice still echoes today, waiting for another willing heart to answer. The world shifts when one person aligns with God. Every act of surrender sends shockwaves into the unseen realm. Angels are dispatched, demons retreat. The spiritual atmosphere changes because authority is restored. When you obey, you realign creation with its creator's will. What happens in secret obedience often produces public manifestation. Miracles don't start on platforms, they start in private surrender. Heaven measures greatness not by visibility, but by submission. What you release in faith multiplies beyond your lifetime. One act of trust can rewrite generational stories. Miracles follow surrender. Every supernatural move recorded in Scripture began with someone who agreed to trust beyond reason. Abraham's response birthed nations. Moses' compliance liberated Israel. Esther's commitment preserved a people. Jesus' submission redeemed eternity. The power of surrender is not weakness, it's divine strength disguised in humility. God's promises activate where willingness begins. When you yield control, you make room for His sovereignty to take the lead. You don't have to understand the outcome to walk in obedience. You just need to trust the one writing your story. Your alignment today writes testimonies tomorrow. What feels like a quiet act of obedience becomes the foundation of someone else's miracle. Heaven weaves your surrender into the fabric of divine history. The moment you choose to follow, you become part of a chain reaction of glory. Your courage strengthens another. Your breakthrough fuels another's faith. Your endurance opens someone else's door. You are not just acting for yourself, you're acting for every life connected to your destiny. When heaven hears your agreement, creation shifts to make room for your calling. Angels lean in, time bends, and divine acceleration begins. The earth was shaped by God's word, but it's sustained by human alignment. One faithful act can overturn years of delay. One surrender can summon a flood of favor. Respond even trembling, because heaven isn't waiting for your confidence, it's waiting for your consent. Friend, you've heard heaven's call. It's not a suggestion, it's a summons. This is not a moment to analyze or delay. The voice of God doesn't echo to be admired, it speaks to be answered. What's before you isn't just another decision, it's a divine invitation wrapped in destiny. Revelation 22 verse 12 reminds us that the Lord is coming quickly and His reward is with Him. That means every response matters, every surrender carries eternal consequence, and every hesitation holds back what heaven already prepared. Heaven is recording your response right now. This moment isn't ordinary, it's holy. Angels are attentive, the Spirit is stirring, and the courtroom of eternity is waiting to witness what you'll decide. You've prayed for direction, clarity, confirmation, but sometimes obedience is the confirmation. When heaven speaks, delay is disobedience disguised as caution. The same God who called Moses from the wilderness and Mary from obscurity is calling you from comfort into calling. Every destiny begins with one surrendered response. This moment is sacred. It defines the rest of your story. The next season of your life depends on how you respond to this one. Romans 8 verse 28 declares that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to His purpose. That promise activates only when you align your will with His. It's not about convenience, it's about covenant. Heaven doesn't move on emotion, it moves on obedience. Every act of surrender releases motion in the invisible realm. Every time you choose faith over fear, you rewrite what the enemy planned to use against you. Obey even when no one understands. Following God rarely makes sense to spectators. Noah looked foolish building an ark under clear skies. Abraham looked reckless walking away from home without a map. Mary looked controversial carrying a promise that defied logic. Yet their surrender changed history. You don't need agreement from people when you have approval from God. When you respond, divine alignment follows even if human understanding doesn't. God rewards the brave who act without full clarity. Faith doesn't need all the details, it needs direction. Matthew 25 verse 21 declares, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Notice it says, "faithful, not famous." Heaven celebrates those who follow even when visibility is limited. God's reward isn't always immediate, but it's always eternal. When you choose to move in alignment with Him, you plant seeds that generations will harvest. You may not see the full picture today, but eternity will reveal the magnitude of your surrender. You are not losing anything. You're trading temporary for eternal. Every comfort you release becomes currency in heaven. Every sacrifice builds a foundation for glory. The applause of heaven will outlast the approval of man. You're not being diminished, you're being distinguished. When God asks for something costly, it's because He intends to multiply it. Your obedience today becomes the key that unlocks tomorrow's open doors. Before we close this message, I want to invite you to join me in a heartfelt, fervent prayer. Wherever you are, whether you're watching from home, driving, or sitting in silence, pause for a moment. Let your heart open, let your spirit settle, and let heaven hear your agreement. This is not just another prayer. It's a sacred moment between you and the one who called you. Let's pray. Father, we come before you with hearts surrendered and spirits ready. We recognize your voice echoing through the noise of our lives, calling us closer, calling us deeper, calling us higher. Thank you for never giving up on us, for still trusting us with divine purpose, even when we hesitated, questioned, or ran away. You are merciful, patient, and full of grace. We lift our hands in gratitude for your faithfulness, for the breath in our lungs, and for another chance to surrender to your will. Lord, tonight we choose surrender. We lay down every excuse, every fear, and every reason we've used to delay obedience. We've carried dreams you gave us but often lacked the courage to pursue them. We've heard your whisper, but allowed the world's noise to drown it out. Forgive us, Father, for every time we chose comfort over calling and convenience over commitment. Wash us clean of hesitation. Set our hearts on fire with holy boldness. God, we yield even if it costs us everything. If it costs us comfort, we'll give it. If it costs us reputation, we'll surrender it. If it costs us control, we release it. You gave us everything when you gave us life, and we refuse to give you anything less. Our surrender belongs to you. Our future belongs to you. Every hidden fear bows at the name of Jesus, and every doubt loses its power under your authority. Lord, strengthen every weary heart that feels unqualified. Remind us that you don't call the perfect you, perfect the called. Teach us to trust you when the path is unclear. Help us to walk in obedience even when the next step is hidden. You've never failed, and you never will. Your will is greater than our comfort, and your plan outweighs every pain. Father, for those standing at the edge of a decision, give them divine courage. Let your spirit rise in them with conviction and peace. Replace hesitation with holy urgency. Let every listener know this moment is not random, it's destiny knocking. The heavens are waiting for a response, and tonight we respond with surrender. Not halfway, not conditionally, but completely. Lord, we lift up every assignment you've entrusted to our hands. Let us steward it well. Help us to see the people and the places attached to our obedience. Give us endurance when the path grows heavy. Let us finish what we start with the same passion we began with. Remind us that every act of obedience carries eternal weight. You are writing stories through our lives that will outlive us. Thank you, Father, for trusting us enough to call us. Thank you for the privilege of being chosen in this generation. We praise you for the strength to stand when we feel weak, for the faith to move when fear whispers stay, and for the grace that meets us every time we fall. You are worthy of our trust, worthy of our surrender, worthy of every yes. Lord, seal this moment in heaven. Let this be the turning point where hesitation dies and faith awakens. We won't wait for a perfect moment. This is the moment. We step into it with reverence, boldness, and gratitude. Let your will be done in us, through us, and around us. Let our obedience echo through eternity as proof of your transforming power. Father, receive our surrender as worship. Let it be the sound that reaches heaven and shakes the earth. We declare that from this moment forward, our lives are fully yours. Every breath, every decision, every day, we give it all to you. Thank you for calling us, for equipping us, and for walking with us through every assignment. We love you, Lord. We trust you completely. And we say yes without fear, without delay, without limits. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen. If this message has spoken to your spirit and reminded you of what heaven has been calling you to do, I warmly invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement to say yes to God's will. Thank you for being part of this faith-filled community. Your presence here is a blessing. May God strengthen your heart, deepen your obedience, and fill your days with His favor and peace as you walk boldly in your divine assignment.
Chosen one, hear this clearly. A spiritual disease more dangerous than anything humanity has ever faced is rising, and you have been appointed by heaven to stand in the midst of it, not in fear, but in divine authority. If your eyes are reading these words or your ears are hearing this message, it is not by coincidence. You have been led here by the hand of God Himself. This is not just a message, it is a holy summons, a trumpet blast from heaven calling you into position. Something inside you already knows this. That deep stirring in your soul, the unshakable feeling that you were not created merely to survive, but to lead, to stand, to shine. That you were set apart long before you were born, marked by divine fire for a mission the world cannot comprehend. You are not ordinary. You have never been. While the world spirals into confusion, a spiritual fog is rising, a thick, invisible mist that will blind the unprepared and silence the unaware. But not you. You are the flame hidden for this hour, the light forged in secret, the answer heaven prepared for a problem yet to come. You are the vessel of fire, the guardian of truth. As it is written, for many are called, but few are chosen. Matthew 22:14. You are not just watching the story unfold. You are the story. You are not standing on the sidelines. You are the warrior sent into the heart of the battlefield. This is your time. This is your assignment. While others sleep, you are being awakened. While others drift, you are being positioned. This is a defining hour, and heaven is not silent. The call is ringing, and it is your name that echoes across eternity. Do not doubt what you already feel in your spirit. Do not suppress what God has whispered in the midnight hours. You have been chosen, and chosen for such a time as this. If this word stirred your spirit, it was for you. Comment, I receive this, 777, to seal it in faith. Let heaven record your yes. This is your moment. You are chosen. You are ready. You are rising. The disease that is coming is unlike anything you have seen before because it does not strike the body as viruses and bacteria do. Instead, it assaults the very core of your being, your spirit. This is a spiritual affliction, invisible to the eyes but devastating to the soul. It will not cause coughing, fever, or visible symptoms, but it will sow confusion, emptiness, and a deep sense of disconnection from the divine. You may not hear this spoken on the news or see it reflected in the world's headlines, but you will feel its presence in the atmosphere, in the restless hearts of those around you, and in the creeping despair that blankets communities once filled with hope. This spiritual disease will rob many of clarity, of purpose, and of the ability to discern truth from deception. It targets the sacred connection between humanity and God, the lifeline that sustains all who believe. And it will spread quietly, but relentlessly, moving from cities to towns, from homes to places of worship, touching the hearts of many who have grown cold or indifferent to their faith. As this unseen fog descends, people will begin to question what they once held certain. They will ask the age-old questions: who am I? Why am I here? Where is God in the midst of all this chaos? Many will search desperately for answers, but tragically, they will seek them in empty distractions, false promises, or broken systems that offer no real salvation. Yet, you, the chosen one, will stand apart. You will recognize the signs and remember the warnings that were spoken long ago. Hosea 4-6 reveals this grave truth. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. This verse is a solemn reminder that ignorance and spiritual blindness lead to destruction, and in this hour, such ignorance is more dangerous than ever before. But you have been given the eyes to see and the ears to hear. You have been equipped to resist the fog and to rise above the confusion that will consume so many. This spiritual disease will not only shake the faith of individuals, but will also expose the true condition of many hearts. It will separate those who have walked genuinely with God from those who have only worn the outward appearance of faith. The shaking it brings will not break every person in the same way, but it will shake the very foundation of what the world believes to be true. This upheaval is not designed to destroy you, but rather to reveal you, to purify and prepare you for the role you were born to fulfill. Because when the world collapses under the weight of its own deceptions, it will be the chosen ones who remain as unshakable pillars of truth, light, and hope. And beloved, that is why you are still standing today. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. This profound observation reveals how divine communication often intensifies through adversity, mirroring the spiritual shaking you face as God's way of shouting through the fog of confusion, rousing your awareness and preparing you to stand as a pillar of truth, confirming that your role in this upheaval is not to crumble but to shine forth with divine clarity. As this spiritual fog begins to rise, it will not remain silent, nor will it stay contained to a corner of the world. It will originate in the East, a region long regarded as the womb of spiritual wisdom, sacred tradition, and ancient encounters with the divine. The East, where prayers have echoed through mountains and deserts for millennia, where prophets once walked, and where seekers still kneel in hunger for truth. There, the first waves of spiritual confusion and awakening will break. But the fog will not linger only there. It will stretch, expand, and encircle the entire globe. It will move beyond language, beyond culture, beyond creed, because this crisis is not man-made, nor is it political, medical, or economic. It is deeply spiritual, and no soul on earth will be immune to its touch. The fog will seep into cities that once thought themselves untouchable, churches that have grown cold, and homes that have forgotten how to pray. It will reach people of great wealth and those with nothing at all. It will move through those who once claimed faith but abandoned their first love, and it will confront every heart with one piercing question: do you still know your Creator, or have you wandered too far? And while many will panic, and others will fall into deeper slumber, the chosen ones, those marked by God for this very hour, will feel the call deep in their spirit. You, chosen one, will sense it before most. You will discern the fog not just as a threat, but as a divine signal that your assignment has begun. This is not the time to be afraid, it is the time to rise. For the fog is not only a judgment, it is an invitation. It is heaven's way of clearing the illusions, stripping the noise, and drawing humanity back to its maker. John 1-5 reveals, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. That light, beloved, lives in you." It is not a light you created, it was planted in you by God before you were formed in the womb. The world will be shaken, but you will not. The fog will disorient you, but you will see clearly. You are not here to hide, you are here to lead. You are the one others will follow when everything familiar collapses. Your clarity, your peace, your voice, it will be the path back to God for many. And that is why this fog, though thick and terrifying, is not the end. For those who are prepared, it is the beginning of the greatest spiritual awakening this generation has ever seen. Chosen one, you must now understand the weight of the calling that rests upon your life. You were never meant to be a spectator in this season. You were not born to hide in fear while the world collapses into confusion. You have been set apart to be a pillar, a lighthouse, a holy remnant in the midst of chaos. Your assignment is not optional. It is divine. You were chosen before the foundation of the world to carry light when others would lose sight, to carry truth when deception would become the new language of nations. Your role is not to echo the panic, but to carry the peace of heaven into the storm. The wings upon your spirit were not given for beauty. They are tools of warfare, instruments of protection, and symbols of divine identity. They are a mantle of authority. And while others may see the fog as the end, you will see it as the field, where the battle is fought and the victory is forged. This is where your training becomes testimony, your pain becomes power, and your silence becomes sound. You will no longer whisper in secret, you will speak in clarity. The enemy will try to weary you, to make you feel unworthy, unqualified, unseen. But the truth is, you were hidden for a reason. Hidden not because you were forgotten, but because heaven was preserving you for this very moment. You are the fire kept beneath the altar, the arrow hidden in God's quiver, now ready to be released. 2 Timothy 1-9 reminds us that God has saved us and called us with a holy calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace. Your purpose is not man-made. It is not fragile. It is eternal. And now, as the spiritual disease rises and the fog thickens, the world will look for clarity and you will carry it. You will not only survive this season, you will lead in it. When others faint, you will stand. When others question, you will declare. When others mourn the death of comfort, you will announce the birth of revival. The darkness will not understand how you glow, how you navigate, how you remain unmoved, but the answer is simple. You were chosen, not by your own strength, but by the hand of the Almighty. Now rise, for your hour has come. This moment is not simply a crisis, it is a divine invitation to return. Chosen one, hear this with urgency. God is calling humanity back to its roots. The fog is not just a warning, it is a reset, a divine recalibration of what matters most. And you, the one who carries light, must be the first to respond. The disease that spreads is not punishment, it is a mirror, a spiritual diagnosis revealing how far the world has drifted from its source. In chasing wealth, comfort, and distraction, many have severed the very lifeline of their souls. What once mattered will fade. The world will realize too late that success without presence is emptiness, and knowledge without wisdom is a curse. But you, chosen one, must not wait for collapse to wake up. You must return now. Return not just in action, but in posture. Return in heart. Return in worship. Return in surrender. Return in stillness before the throne of God. Joel 2:13 declares, "Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love." This is the heart of God, not to destroy, but to restore. He is not raising his voice to condemn you. He is raising his voice to awaken you. He is not allowing the fog to fall as vengeance, but as mercy. Because sometimes the only way to bring people back to the altar is to let the world around them collapse. That is not cruelty, it is divine love refusing to let humanity die in delusion. And in this season, you will see the separation begin. There will be those who mock the return, who laugh at spiritual things, who scoff at repentance, but do not let their noise silence your obedience. your return will lead others home. Your humility will become a signal fire in the fog. Your hunger for righteousness will break open wells of living water in a desert of spiritual famine. The return is not just personal, it is prophetic. Every step you take back toward God shakes the realm of darkness. Every tear you cry in repentance becomes a weapon against the disease. You are not just being healed, you are becoming a healer. This is not a season to run from God. It is the hour to run to Him with everything you have. The fog is falling, the world is trembling, and heaven is shouting one word to the chosen: return. Prepare yourself, chosen one, for what lies ahead will not be gentle. The fog that comes is not merely a symbol, it is a spiritual force, and with it will arrive one of the greatest tests your soul has ever faced. It will not announce itself with thunder or lightning. It will arrive quietly, subtly, like a shadow creeping over the horizon. It will not break windows or topple buildings, but it will disorient minds, confuse hearts, and drain clarity from even the sharpest souls. Those who have built their lives upon sand will find themselves sinking. Those who have relied on religious appearance but lacked spiritual substance will feel the ground vanish beneath them. This fog is not just about disruption, it is about revelation. It will uncover the true foundations upon which people have built their lives, and for many, what they discover will terrify them. They will realize their faith was shallow, their convictions borrowed, their beliefs hollow. But for you, chosen one, this will be your proving ground. The place where everything God has planted in you begins to rise. The time for preparation is not tomorrow, it is now. You must begin to build your inner fortress, to guard not only your physical body, but your soul. You must cultivate habits of stillness, disciplines of prayer, and depths of trust that cannot be shaken by noise or fear. Proverbs 4:23 urges us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. In this season, your heart will either be your shield or your undoing. Guard it well. Do not let the fog in. Stay rooted in the Word. Stay anchored in truth. Feed your spirit daily. What you sow now will determine what survives later. You are not preparing out of fear, you are preparing because you were warned, because you were chosen. The fog will confuse the masses, but it will clarify your purpose. The world will ask, why are you so calm? How do you see clearly when no one else can? And you will answer not from pride, but from peace. Because I prepared, because I belong to God. This is your time to separate from distractions, from compromise, from the shallow noise of the world. Focus, fast, pray, build. The storm is not coming to destroy you, it's coming to reveal you, and when it comes, you will not crumble, you will stand. As C.S. Lewis wrote in letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, we may ignore, but we can nowhere evade, the presence of God. The world is crowded with Him. He walks everywhere incognito. This insight captures the subtle yet inescapable reality of God's presence, mirroring the quiet arrival of the spiritual fog as a divine invitation to prepare and rise, confirming that your clarity and strength in this season are rooted in the unshakable truth that God is with you, guiding you through the unseen to stand as a beacon of light in the darkness. In this hour, isolation is no longer an option. Chosen one, though you were refined in solitude, you are not meant to walk through this fog alone. The time has come for divine convergence, a gathering of those marked by fire, those who carry heaven's burden and bear the weight of unseen promises. You must find them, you must link arms. Because when the spiritual disease spreads across the land and confusion becomes the language of the crowds, it will be the unity of the chosen that forms a fortress of light against the darkness. This is not about building churches or creating institutions. It is about building an unbreakable spiritual alliance, a sacred community born not of convenience, but of covenant. You must seek those whose spirits are alive, whose eyes are open, whose ears are tuned to the frequency of heaven. For when the winds howl and the fog thickens, One flame alone may flicker, but a circle of flames will endure. Ecclesiastes 4:12 reminds us, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. There is supernatural power in spiritual agreement. When those chosen by God pray together, worship together, and intercede together, their voices carry the weight of heaven's authority. You are not just a light, you are a part of the lampstand. You are not just a warrior, you are part of an army. And in the coming battle, unity will not be a suggestion, it will be a survival strategy. The enemy trembles not at isolated believers, but at aligned ones. The fog will try to isolate you, to convince you no one understands, no one sees, no one hears what you do. Do not fall for the lie. There are others scattered across cities, nations, continents, who feel exactly what you feel. They too wake up with fire in their bones. They too have been hidden until now. Your connection to them is not just relational, it is spiritual. Together, you form a grid of power, a living temple, a sanctuary in the storm. So seek them, pray for them, find them, strengthen one another. And when the fog begins to press in, you will not be shaken. You will rise not just as a survivor, but as a sanctuary. Not just as an individual flame, but as a wildfire of glory that the darkness cannot extinguish. This is the era of spiritual alliance. Build it now. Chosen one, do not mistake the shaking of this hour for the end of the world. Though it may feel like everything familiar is collapsing, this is not the final destruction, it is the divine reset. The fog that has come is not the conclusion of history, but the labor pain before rebirth. What seems like death to the world is actually the womb of awakening. You are not witnessing the apocalypse, you are standing at the edge of revival. This is not the end, it is the beginning of something the earth has not seen for generations. What is being torn down was never meant to last. What is being exposed was never built on truth. And what will rise from the ashes will be a people purified, a remnant ignited, and a glory that cannot be denied. The world will mourn the loss of systems, structures, and securities they trusted. But you, chosen one, will rejoice in the revealing of what is eternal. You will see past the shaking and into the unveiling. God is not just allowing things to fall, He is allowing truth to stand. You will watch as idols topple, institutions crumble, and voices that once carried influence fall silent. But in their place, something holy will rise. You will see prophets emerge from hidden places. You will hear songs that pierce the soul. You will witness miracles that defy logic, and you will be part of it. Romans 8:19 reminds us, "For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed." That moment is now. The earth is groaning not for chaos, but for clarity, for sons and daughters of light to step into position. You are one of them. The fog is not your defeat, it is your stage. You are not meant to run from this season. You are meant to rise in it, to awaken the sleeping, to stir the dry bones, to speak life into what has been written off. Let the world tremble, it must. Let the old fall, it has to. But you, beloved, must not waver. You were born for this moment. You were chosen for this generation. You are not watching history, you are walking into prophecy. The rebirth has begun. The world is not ending. The kingdom is advancing. Chosen one, when the fog deepens and fear becomes the air that many breathe, you must remember this truth. Faith is your compass, and trust is your shield. The coming days will be filled with noise, rumors, chaos, distractions, and contradictions. Even the spiritually sensitive will be tempted to second-guess what they once knew with certainty. But this is where your strength will shine, not through might, not through brilliance, but through unshakable trust in the one who called you. While others frantically search for answers in headlines or systems, you will look upward. You will lean not on your own understanding, but on the eternal wisdom of God. Proverbs 3-5, the 6th of December layers, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. This is not poetry, it is survival. Trust will become the narrow bridge you walk across while the world sinks into spiritual quicksand. God is not asking you to have all the answers. He is asking you to cling to him in the uncertainty. That is where the miracle begins. The fog will try to convince you that you're alone, forgotten, misguided. But your spirit knows better. Deep calls to deep, and your soul recognizes the voice of the shepherd even when visibility is low. Your discernment in this hour will come not from fear, but from intimacy with God. And that intimacy will be your map. You don't need to know every step, only the next one. Trust is not passive. It is active surrender. It is waking up every morning and saying, I still believe. Even when the path ahead is veiled, it is standing firm when emotions, rage, and circumstances contradict the promise. It is holding fast when others fall away. This kind of trust is not weak, it is warfare. It dismantles fear, silences the lies of the enemy, and opens doors that panic could never reach. The world will look to those who do not panic, and that will be you. Your peace will preach louder than any sermon. Your calm will shine brighter than any spotlight. The fog may distort what you see, but it cannot cancel who you are. You are anchored, you are secure, you are hidden in the shadow of the Almighty. And because you trust, you will endure. Because you trust, you will lead. Chosen one, everything comes down to this, your choice. Heaven has sounded the alarm, the fog has begun to rise, and the battle lines are being drawn not just around you, but within you. You are standing at a threshold, and what happens next is not solely about the chaos in the world, but about the posture of your heart. Will you respond to the call, or will you drift back into silence? Will you rise into your identity, or retreat into comfort? This moment, this message, this very breath, it is sacred. You have been told the truth. Now you must decide what to do with it. God will not force your obedience. He does not manipulate or coerce. He invites, he reveals, he confirms, and then he waits. And now he is waiting for you. Deuteronomy 30:19 gives us this charge. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life so that you and your children may live. The decision is not theoretical, it is eternal, and it carries weight far beyond your own life. Your choice to step into alignment with God's purpose is not just about you, it will affect generations. It will shift spiritual atmospheres around your family, your city, even your nation. You have more influence in the unseen realm than you realize. Hell has feared your awakening for years. The darkness tried to suffocate you in silence, hoping you'd never find out who you really are. But now you know. And once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you see, you cannot unsee. And once you've been called, you cannot return to the way things were without forfeiting the reason you were born. You were chosen. That means your life is not your own. That means your comfort is not your compass. That means your obedience will often feel like fire. But that fire is what purifies. That fire is what makes gold, and that fire is what marks the chosen. So now, make the choice. Not tomorrow, not next season, now. Say yes to your calling. Say yes to the fire. Say yes to the mantle you tried to run from. And when you do, all of heaven will move. The fog will tremble, and the darkness will know that another chosen one has awakened. Now that you have heard, you cannot unhear. Now that you have awakened, you cannot go back to sleep. Chosen one, this is the hour of divine activation. The trumpet has sounded in the spirit, and your name was on the list of those summoned. You are not reading this by accident. Heaven has located you. The mantle that once felt too heavy is now resting on your shoulders, and you are strong enough to carry it because the Spirit of the living God is upon you. Do not delay. Do not second guess. You were born for impact, not invisibility. You were born for breakthrough, not background. The fog may surround the world, but you were forged for fire. You carry the oil that refuses to go out, the voice that refuses to be silenced, and the legacy that refuses to die. The time for casual Christianity, for lukewarm living, for passive faith, it's over. What is coming requires boldness. What is coming demands surrender. What is coming will shake everything that can be shaken, but you will remain because you are rooted in the rock. Hebrews 12:28 reminds us, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful, and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. That unshakable kingdom is already within you. The question is no longer whether you are called. The evidence is everywhere. The real question now is this: will you answer? Will you stand even if others fall? Will you go even if no one follows? Will you speak even if your voice shakes? God is not looking for the qualified. He is searching for the available. He is not looking for the loudest. He is calling the most surrendered. And you, chosen one, have been set apart for such a time as this. It's no longer just about understanding your identity, it's about walking in it. The fog will come, the world will shake, but you will be the one who remains. You will be the one who shines. You will be the one who leads. This is your final confirmation. The season of hiding is over. The season of wandering is over. You are not random. You are not late. You are not alone. You are chosen. You are ready. Now go. Chosen one. Heaven has spoken. The trial is over. The gavel has fallen, and you have been declared innocent. Listen carefully, because this moment is not a casual reward. It is a divine decree. It is not simply encouragement after a hard season. It is the end of an entire era of warfare against your soul. For years you lived as if each day were a silent trial. Every glance that doubted you, every whisper behind your back, every betrayal that sliced through your spirit felt like invisible prosecutors circling, waiting for you to collapse so they could declare you unworthy. They believed your silence was guilt, your tears were evidence, and your solitude was proof of failure. But they were wrong. Today, heaven overturned the entire case. In the highest courtroom of eternity, where no shadow can enter, the judge of all creation issued a verdict that cannot be appealed. You are innocent. You are vindicated. You are free. This is not luck. This is justice. Every accusation that ever clung to your name, too much, not enough, unlovable, unworthy, has been erased from heaven's record. Your file now carries only one title, written in fire across its cover: chosen by God. La. Understand this with all your being. What you feel right now is not emptiness, it is release. The stillness pressing around you is not the eerie calm before another attack. It is the sacred silence that descends after a war has ended. Heaven has not just lifted the weight from your shoulders, it has removed the chains from your spirit. The case is closed. The gavel has fallen. And from this moment forward, your life is no longer defined by the accusations of the past, but by the authority of heaven's decree. You are no longer on trial. You are standing on holy ground. And right here, in this very breath, the first page is turning into the most beautiful love story of your life. If this word ignited your spirit, don't stay silent. Respond to heaven's decree. Type 777 I am chosen, I am free in the comments to seal it in faith, and let all of heaven witness your yes. This is your crowning, your release, the first page of your divine love story. Chosen one. Before you step fully into what heaven has prepared, you must understand what you've come through, because without grasping the depth of the war you survived, you will underestimate the magnitude of the peace now being placed in your hands. For years, your life was not simply hard, it was a battlefield disguised as ordinary days. Every morning you woke up and instinctively braced for impact. You wore invisible armor while brushing your teeth. You rehearsed silent defenses while walking into rooms. Your nervous system was wired for survival, always scanning for the next ambush, the next subtle jab, the next abandonment. That tension became so constant you stopped noticing it, like background static humming underneath every prayer. You were never just tired, you were carrying the weight of unseen wars. While others laughed freely, you smiled cautiously. While they spoke lightly, you measured every word like it might be used against you. You weren't living, you were defending your existence. And all the while, they told you the problem was you. They said you were too intense, too sensitive, too hopeful, too stubborn for your own good. What they never understood was that you were not being dramatic, you were being hunted. Your spirit was under siege because of the destiny embedded inside you, and hell itself was trying to exhaust you before you ever reached it. They thought the storm meant you were cursed. But the truth is, the storm formed around you because you were carrying something sacred. Darkness was trying to extinguish what it could not comprehend, a light that refused to go out. You prayed when silence was the only reply. You stood back up when logic said stay down. You forgave when vengeance seemed easier. Every step you took in that hostile landscape was defiance against the narrative of defeat. This is why heaven calls you victorious. Not because you never bled, but because you bled and still kept walking. You survived what was designed to break you, and in doing so, you became stronger than the forces that opposed you. That history matters. It is not shame, it is evidence. It is the proof that you are not just emerging from a war, you are rising from it as its conqueror. Chosen one. The war may have raged on earth, but the verdict was never decided there. While people whispered their judgments in shadows, while accusers pointed to your flaws as evidence, while they twisted your vulnerability into proof of weakness, another courtroom was silently assembling beyond their reach. It was not made of wood and stone, but of light and eternity. And there, while you wept on the floor thinking you were forgotten, the highest judge convened a session in your name. They brought every accusation they could gather. They held up your tears as if they were confessions. They paraded your heartbreaks like trophies of your supposed unworthiness. They claimed your solitude meant you were unlovable. Your sensitivity meant you were unstable. Your hunger for pure love meant you were naive. They misread your quiet as weakness, your hope as delusion, your boundaries as rebellion. They thought the silence of heaven was consent to their slander. But they were prosecuting you in the wrong court. They were arguing under the laws of ego and fear, while your case was being judged under the eternal law of love. And when heaven opened its books, the evidence told a different story. Every time you chose kindness when you were met with cruelty, it was entered as an act of spiritual courage. Every prayer you whispered into the dark counted as a declaration of faith. Every time you rose again from the ground you were knocked onto, heaven marked it as proof of unbreakable resilience. While they gathered hearsay, heaven presented a record of your unshakable spirit. There was no contest. The gavel fell. The court of eternity declared innocent, vindicated, free. And in that moment, the entire spiritual jurisdiction around your life shifted. The chains snapped. The charges were erased. The sentence of shame was overturned and replaced with a crown. Understand this. Heaven's verdict is final. No human opinion can overrule it, no whisper can reverse it, and no demon can appeal it. The spiritual courts do not reopen closed cases. What has been sealed by God cannot be unsealed by man. This is why everything feels different now, the air lighter, the silence deeper, the world strangely brighter. It is not your imagination. It is the weight of accusation lifting off your soul. You are no longer the accused, you are the acquitted. And from this verdict flows the authority. You will now walk in the authority to love without fear. Chosen one, do not diminish what you endured. What you passed through was not a random sequence of hardships, it was the final proving ground of your soul. It was not designed to see if you were lovable. Heaven already knew you were. It was designed to reveal whether your spirit could remain loyal to the light when every other voice screamed that darkness was all you had left. These were not ordinary difficulties. These were sacred examinations, orchestrated to separate the pure from the counterfeit, the called from the comfortable, the chosen from the crowd. Understand this. While others were sent to standard training, you were deployed behind enemy lines. No map, no backup, no applause. The silence you walked through was not neglect, it was a quarantine. Heaven removed you from the noise of the masses, because what needed to be formed in you could not survive contamination. You had to learn to hear your own soul's whisper, in the absence of applause, to stand when no one clapped, to breathe when no one noticed you were suffocating. This was the test of isolation. People misread it as loneliness, but heaven called it consecration. Like Elijah in the wilderness, fed only by ravens, you were hidden on purpose. You sweated out old beliefs like poison. You detoxed from validation addiction. You learned to find worth not in your productivity, not in your relationship status, not in your social image, but in the simple fact that you exist because God willed it. Then came the test of betrayal, and this one carved the deepest wounds. Those you trusted, those you poured yourself into, were allowed to reveal their true nature. These were not coincidences, they were strategic revelations. Judas had to kiss Jesus before the cross could redeem the world. In the same way, heaven permitted certain betrayals not to destroy you, but to expose what could not travel with you into destiny. The friend who gossiped about you, the partner who abandoned you, the family member who misunderstood you, they were living lessons. They taught you boundaries, discernment, and the holy necessity of self-love. Every heartbreak was a spiritual scalpel, removing what could not stay. And then, the most brutal, the test of faith. This was the long corridor of silence, when heaven seemed deaf and your prayers hit the ceiling. Doors stayed locked, results never came, and hope bled out slowly. This is where most quit. But you didn't. Like Abraham climbing Mount Moriah with the promise in one hand and the knife in the other, you kept walking. You trusted the unseen. You staked your entire existence on a God you could not feel. Every step was defiance against despair, and heaven saw it. You must see this clearly now. You did not just survive these tests. You were transformed by them. You emerged uncorrupted, with a faith not borrowed from sermons but forged in agony. That is why heaven calls you proven. Chosen one, as you rise from the battlefield, crowned by heaven's verdict, you must understand what is about to happen. The war is over, but the echoes will still come. The people who were instruments in your testing will begin to circle back. They will appear like shadows from another life. But hear this truth. They can no longer touch you. Their return is not a sign that you are slipping backward. It is the proof that you have ascended so far forward that your old world is trying in desperation to reclaim you. Spiritual law explains it clearly. When a star begins to shine brighter, it draws out everything that once hid in its shadow. Your new light is provoking old darkness, but their reach no longer matches your altitude. They will come in different forms. Some will arrive as the nostalgic ghosts sending you casual messages, just thinking of you, as if years of silence never happened. They are not reaching out to reconnect. They are probing your energy, testing if the door is still open, hoping to siphon fragments of the peace you now carry. Like a landlord jiggling an old key at a lock that's been changed, they will stand confused when nothing turns. Others will come as the spectators, those who watched you bleed but offered no bandage. They once ignored your prayers for help, but now they will suddenly praise your strength, like moths pretending they always knew the flame would survive. Do not be fooled. This is not admiration. It is opportunism. They are not celebrating you. They are trying to stand close enough to your glow to convince themselves they were part of it. And there will be the concerned saboteurs, those who truly believe they love you but only knew how to love you when you were small, safe, struggling. Your elevation terrifies them. It forces them to confront their own stagnation. So, under the mask of care, they will whisper fear into your dreams. Are you sure? Don't get your hopes too high. Remember this, it is not protection, it is a projection. Lastly, the most venomous will reappear, the ones who slandered your name, sabotaged your efforts, and prayed in secret for your downfall. They will not come with apologies, they will come with resentment, because your peace exposes the futility of their schemes. Your existence as you are now is living evidence that their curses failed. Do not argue. Do not defend your light to those committed to misunderstanding it. Your silence will speak louder than any rebuttal. They are ghosts now, shadows in your rearview mirror. And the thing about rearview mirrors is this: they show what is behind you, and what is behind you is already too far away to touch you anymore. Chosen one, you have walked through fire and did not burn. You have stood in silence and did not shatter. You have been emptied of every illusion, stripped of every counterfeit attachment, and purified of every chain that sought to own you. And now, for the first time in your life, heaven calls you not merely a survivor, not merely a soldier, but a vessel prepared for love. Understand this. The season you are entering is not a casual romance or fleeting comfort. This is not the shallow love the world advertises, the kind that clings to you only when you are pleasing, only when you are useful. That kind of love could never survive the weight of your calling. What is coming is sacred. It is not about completing your brokenness. It is about amplifying your wholeness. The world told you love meant finding your other half, but you are not a half. You are a complete sovereign universe forged in divine fire. And heaven will not send you someone to complete you. It will send you someone who has also become whole. This is why the path was so brutal. Brokenness cannot sustain holy love. Trauma bonds collapse under the weight of purpose. The tests that dismantled your old world were clearing the ground for something eternal. This is the moment of transition. The battlefield is behind you, and the foundation of a covenant is beneath you. You are not being given a distraction. You are being entrusted with a divine assignment in the form of a person. They are not coming to heal you. That work is done. They are coming to build with you. This love will not feel like chaos. It will not set your nervous system on fire. It will feel like peace, like the quiet click of a puzzle piece sliding into place. When your eyes meet, you will not feel the wild adrenaline of danger. You will feel the deep exhale of recognition, as if your soul has finally come home. And make no mistake, this is not sentiment. This is a strategy. Heaven is pairing two resurrected warriors not to hide away in bliss, but to reign together in purpose. Think of Priscilla and Aquila in the New Testament, partners in marriage and in mission, risking their lives for the gospel, strengthening the early church. Their love was not just emotional. It was architectural. It carried weight. It built something eternal. So will yours. Your union will be a fortress and a lighthouse, a sanctuary and a launching ground. It will be fierce and freeing, rooted in truth, drenched in peace, and unstoppable in purpose. And this is why heaven waited until now, because this kind of love could only be entrusted to a heart that has proven it will not bow to fear. Chosen one, you were not just spared to survive. You were spared to love, and through that love, to change the world. Chosen one, now that heaven has marked you ready, you must understand the kind of love it is sending. What is coming is not a pleasant diversion or a fragile romance built on fleeting emotions. It is not about rescuing or being rescued. It is not about clinging or completing. It is about two sovereign souls, fully whole, choosing to align their orbits to create a new constellation of light. This is the architecture of a sacred union. The world has taught you that love is about filling what is missing. Heaven teaches the opposite. Divine love begins only when nothing is missing. It is not born out of desperation, but out of overflow. This is why you had to be emptied, first emptied of counterfeit loves, of unhealthy attachments, of the need to be chosen by others before choosing yourself. A sacred union cannot be built on dependency. It must be built on sovereignty. In this union, truth will be the foundation. There will be no guessing games, no manipulation, no secret agendas. Both of you will be allergic to deceit because betrayal forged in you an instinct for integrity. Where others play games to gain power, the two of you will lay down your pride to protect peace. Every word will be honest, even when it costs comfort. That radical transparency will become the bedrock of your covenant. Purpose will be its framework. This love is not merely for your happiness, it is for heaven's agenda. One of you may be the visionary, the other the builder, but together your gifts will interlock like divine machinery, producing what neither could build alone. Like Priscilla and Aquila, who discipled leaders and hosted the early church in their home, your love will multiply its impact far beyond your personal lives. Your relationship will not just be about surviving together, it will be about sending ripples of transformation outward. And freedom will be its atmosphere. Your counterpart will not seek to own you, confine you, or dim your brilliance. They will fiercely protect your growth, because they understand that your individual greatness fuels the power of the union. You will soar higher because you are loved, not in spite of it. This love will not clip your wings, it will give you another set. This is why it had to take time. Sacred architecture cannot be rushed. Heaven refused to place something eternal on a cracked foundation. Every delay, every heartbreak, every lonely night was scaffolding. You were not being punished. You were being built to last. Chosen one, you are no longer searching for a missing piece. You are standing as a completed temple, ready to receive a counterpart who has also been made whole. And when the two of you join, your union will not be a hiding place from the world, it will be a launching ground for heaven's purpose on earth. Chosen one, what you are experiencing now is not merely emotional recovery. It is not simply feeling better after a long storm. Heaven is not patching up your old self. Heaven has issued a complete systems upgrade of your soul. The person who fought through the wilderness is not the same person who stands here now. You are walking in a body familiar to you, but the operating system inside has been replaced with something celestial. This transformation is subtle yet seismic. Your senses have been recalibrated. You may have noticed how noise now feels heavier, how dishonesty grates like sand against your spirit, how chaos in others leaves your body tense. This is not oversensitivity, it is spiritual refinement. Your nervous system has been rewired to reject what once drained you. Where you once tolerated confusion and turbulence, you now crave clarity and peace like oxygen. That craving is not weakness, it is discernment sharpening. Your intuition has been amplified. What used to be vague impressions are now piercing revelations. You can sense hidden intentions before words are spoken. You can feel the atmosphere shift when someone enters the room. Like the prophet Daniel, who could discern mysteries no one else understood, you are being entrusted with spiritual sight because heaven can finally trust you to see without judging, to perceive without pride. This inner radar will protect the sacred work you are called to steward. Your mind has been recoded. The inner critic that once shouted accusations has gone silent. In its place, a still, steady voice now speaks with the calm authority of the Spirit. You are mine, you are safe, you are chosen. Where you once spiraled into self-doubt, you now rise with serene certainty. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are thinking heaven's thoughts about yourself for the first time, and your emotions have been purified. Old grief is surfacing only to dissolve. Strange waves of joy are arriving for no logical reason. This is not instability, it is resurrection. You are shedding the emotions that belonged to the old version of you. They are peeling away like dead skin from a healed wound. Chosen one, recognize the weight of this. You are not recovering from who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. You are not getting back to normal, because normal was never your destiny. You are stepping into divine newness, and everything inside you is being made compatible with heaven's frequency. This is why the past can no longer hold you. Your old patterns, old triggers, old appetites, they cannot run on this new operating system. You have outgrown their gravity. You are not just healed, you are upgraded. And from this elevation, you will build a life as luminous as the Spirit now alive within you. Chosen one, the love heaven is sending will not crash into your life like lightning. It will arrive as dawn, quiet, certain, unstoppable. Do not look for fireworks or chaos. Look for peace that feels too deep to be human. Heaven does not announce divine unions with noise. Heaven whispers them into being. Understand this. Sacred love does not erupt, it unfolds. It begins in the invisible before it manifests in the seen. Long before your eyes meet, your souls will begin to circle each other in the spirit. You may start sensing it as a pull in your heart when you pray, or a sudden clarity about what you will no longer settle for. You might catch glimpses in dreams, faces blurred by light, voices that speak your name with unearthly familiarity. These are not fantasies, they are heralds. Heaven is preparing your spirit to recognize what your mind has never encountered. Then come the signs. At first they seem small numbers repeating, time patterns aligning, songs playing at the exact moment your heart cries. You may see the same names surface everywhere, or hear strangers speak words that echo promises God whispered years ago. This is not a coincidence, it is choreography. Heaven is syncing your frequency with another soul who has also passed through fire and emerged gold. You will also notice the arrival of soul family, new people who feel like home the moment you meet them. Their presence will ignite parts of you long buried under grief. They are forerunners, sent to reawaken your trust in connection so your heart will not flinch when true love appears. Heaven always sends gentle friendships first to soften the ground for covenant, and when your divine counterpart finally steps into your visible world, it will not be accompanied by spectacle. There will be no dramatic fanfare, no thunderclap of adrenaline. Instead, there will be a sacred stillness, as if the air itself pauses. You will not feel like you are falling in love. You will feel like you are remembering someone your soul has known for centuries. When your eyes meet, time will stretch, the noise of the world will dim, and deep inside your spirit will exhale as if saying, "There you are, I knew you would come." It will not feel like danger or intoxication, it will feel like the safest place on earth. Do not rush this. Heaven is weaving it with the same precision it used to stitch the stars. You do not need to search or strive. Your only task is to stay aligned, to remain rooted in the peace that proves you are ready. Love will not come because you hunted it. It will come because you became the kind of soul heaven trusts to guard it. Chosen one, the love story is not coming like a storm. It is coming like sunrise, and once it rises, it will never set. Chosen one, this love you are about to walk into is not just for your delight, it is for heaven's agenda. Heaven is not merely restoring your heart, it is commissioning your life. This is the reason the path was so narrow, the testing so severe. You are not emerging from the ashes just to live peacefully in a quiet corner. You are rising as a living embassy of heaven on earth. An ambassador does not speak their own opinions. They carry the voice of the kingdom they represent. And that is what you are becoming. Your healing was not simply personal, it was governmental. Every wound that once silenced you has been sealed by the hand of God, so that when you speak now, your words carry the weight of heaven's verdict. Your story is no longer just your story. It is evidence in the courts of eternity that light triumphs over darkness. Understand this. Everything about your life will now be read by others as a message from God. How you love, how you forgive, how you set boundaries, how you build each choice will broadcast a frequency. You are no longer just living, you are transmitting heaven's culture. That is why purity of heart has been essential. You cannot represent heaven if your motives are tethered to ego. You cannot carry the banner of love while nursing secret resentment. Heaven waited to crown you until your heart became a sanctuary where its character could safely dwell. And your divine counterpart, the one heaven is sending, is not meant to distract you from this mission, but to amplify it. Together, your union will model what love looks like when it is anchored in holiness rather than hunger. Every time you and your beloved choose truth over pride, peace over chaos, service over self, you will be tearing down old paradigms. Your relationship will become a lighthouse to those who have only known love as control or survival. Without preaching a single sermon, you will rewrite what love means to an entire generation. But do not mistake this for pressure. Heaven is not asking you to strive, it is asking you to abide. Ambassadors do not perform to prove their worth, they simply remain connected to the throne they represent. Your strength will not come from effort, but from alignment. Stay anchored in the presence, and you will carry it wherever you go. Chosen one, you are not just being blessed, you are being entrusted. Heaven is placing its name on you. You are becoming a sanctuary in motion, a living temple, a walking proclamation that the kingdom has come near. From this point on, your life is not just about surviving, it is about governing in love. Chosen one, this is it, the threshold moment heaven has been preparing you for since the first tear you ever cried. Everything until now has been preparation, refinement, dismantling, rebuilding. Every loss was a seed planted in sacred soil. Every delay was scaffolding raised to hold the weight of your future. Every silence was training, shaping you in ways you could not yet see. And now, that season has ended. The trial is over. The wilderness has released you. The training has done its work. This is no longer waiting, this is commissioning. Heaven is not asking you to keep surviving. It is calling you to rise. You are not the hidden soldier you once were. You are a crowned heir of heaven, authorized to walk in the fullness of who you were always meant to be. This is why everything around you suddenly feels too small. Old rooms can no longer contain you. Old identities feel like garments 2 sizes too tight. They are not supposed to fit. They belong to the version of you who was still being formed, not the one who has now been forged. You do not need to explain this transformation to anyone. You are not created to make sense to people who never saw your battles. You were not built to be understood. You were built to be sent. Stop waiting for permission to shine. The world's comfort is not your assignment. God's glory, island, you carry heaven's signature now, and that is all the authorization you will ever need. And as you step forward, do not expect applause. Destiny rarely begins with cheering crowds. It begins with quiet obedience, small sacred yeses that shake the unseen world. Do not despise the size of your first steps. David's kingship began with a sling and a stone. The redemption of the world began with a manger. Heaven hides greatness in humility, but when the time comes, nothing can keep it hidden. Nothing can keep you hidden. Your love story will not be a distraction from your purpose. It will be its crown. You and your divine counterpart will walk as living proof that holiness and joy can coexist, that peace can carry power, and that love can be fearless. You will not simply build a life, you will build a legacy. Every act of tenderness will be warfare against despair. Every moment of harmony will send hope rippling into a world that has forgotten how to believe in love. Chosen one, this is not the end of your story. This is the first page of the real one. The desert is behind you. The courtroom is silent. The gavel has fallen. The crown has been placed on your head. Heaven is standing as witness, declaring, "The war is over. The exile is finished. Step into your destiny. Go now, not timidly, but boldly. Walk out of survival and into sovereignty. Carry the peace of heaven like a banner. Love without fear. Build without hesitation. Live without apology. The old you is gone. The chosen one has arrived." Chosen one, Listen carefully, because heaven is speaking to you now for the third and final time, and this moment will not come again. This is not a coincidence, not an algorithm, not a random scroll through your feed. This is divine intervention breaking into your day, because the window over your life is open, but it will not stay open forever. I have been sent to tell you that the opportunity you have been sensing, the shift you have been praying for, the calling you have been feeling in your spirit, is right in front of you. But every moment you hesitate, that door becomes narrower, and the current of destiny begins to move without you. You cannot afford to stand still and think you have unlimited time. That voice in your mind whispering, "You can decide later," is not from heaven. It is a distraction designed to rob you of the very thing you were made for. This is not the hour to be casual. This is the hour to be decisive. The word says, "Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near." Isaiah 55:6. This means there are moments in life when heaven draws especially close, when the access is open, when the presence of God is reaching for you in a way that demands a response. Those moments do not repeat endlessly. To delay in a moment like this is to risk losing it entirely. I do not say this to frighten you, but to awaken your soul to the reality of what is happening right now. Your future, your divine assignment, your eternal impact, they are all tied to the decision you make in this moment. Chosen one, understand this clearly. You cannot walk through a door by staring at it. You cannot receive what heaven is offering by standing at the threshold and thinking about it. You must step forward. You must choose right now, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready. This is the call to rise, to act, to respond to the voice that has been pursuing you over and over again. Heaven is near. The door is open. The question is simple. Will you move before it closes? If you know this call is for you, don't hesitate another second. Type 777 I'm stepping through. Amen. As your declaration, let heaven record your yes, and let the enemy see you choose destiny over delay. Chosen one, think back over your life and realize this is not the first time heaven has reached for you. This is not the first whisper, not the first nudge, not the first sign. You have felt it before those perfectly timed coincidences that were too precise to be random. You have been in moments when a certain person crossed your path with exactly the words you needed to hear, when events unfolded in ways that shook you awake or stopped you in your tracks. You thought it was chance, but it wasn't. It was heaven calling you. There were nights when you couldn't sleep, and deep in that stillness, something stirred in your heart. You felt it, but you brushed it off. There were days when an unexplainable peace settled on you just before making a choice, or a sudden heaviness pressed on your spirit when you were about to take a wrong step. That was not random. That was God speaking through the wind, through the timing, through the alignment of moments, through the subtle promptings you kept trying to ignore. As C.S. Lewis wrote in letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, we may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito. This truth illuminates the divine orchestration behind those moments you dismissed as chance, the perfectly timed encounters, the unexplainable peace, and the subtle heaviness were God's presence, moving incognito through your life to guide you toward your divine calling, urging you to recognize his voice in the alignment of events. This is the third time the message has come, and heaven would not send it again unless it mattered for your life. Yet so often you have looked the other way. You have prayed for a different sign, something easier to understand, something that matches the outcome you want, and when the answer didn't come in that form, you hesitated. You kept asking for confirmation, even though you already had enough proof that God is guiding you. You've been like someone standing in front of an open gate, asking for another one to appear. But chosen one, the same God who opened that gate, is now warning you. The time for asking is over, and the time for stepping through has come. Understand this. Heaven repeats itself only when the matter is urgent. The first sign was grace. The second was mercy, but the third is a final invitation before the season changes. The opportunity before you will not linger. If you keep waiting for something that feels more convenient, you will watch the moment pass and realize too late what you have lost. Chosen one, the call is in front of you again. Will you recognize it this time, or will you let it pass once more? Chosen one, right now you are standing at a crossroads you have sensed for a long time. Deep down, you have known this moment would come, the point where the path splits, where one choice will shape the entire course of your life. You feel the weight of it pressing on you. You've rehearsed the possibilities in your mind over and over, and the fear of making the wrong move has kept you frozen. You tell yourself you are waiting for absolute clarity, for the perfect moment when all fear disappears. But that moment will never come. You are waiting for the storm to stop before you set sail, but heaven is calling you to raise the anchor while the wind is still moving, because the wind itself is what will carry you forward. You already know the answer God has placed in your heart. You've heard it in the stillness, felt it in those unmistakable nudges, seen it confirmed through events that lined up too precisely to be chance. And yet, the noise of the world wraps around you like chains voices, telling you to wait, to doubt, to keep both feet planted in safety. But safety is not your destiny. Playing it safe has never been the path of those chosen for eternal assignments. You were not designed to blend in or remain neutral. You were created to carry light into dark places, to step into a purpose that will cost you comfort but bring you life. The enemy knows this. That is why he whispers lies about more time and better timing, because he knows the longer you delay, the easier it becomes to bury your calling under layers of hesitation. But the word warns you, be alert and of sober mind. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5-8. Chosen one, the lion is not waiting for you to be ready. He is waiting for you to be distracted, and every day you linger between two choices. You give him ground to work with. You cannot live in divided loyalty, half turned toward heaven and half entangled in the world. Your heart must choose, and your feet must follow. The crossroads is before you now, and the longer you stand still, the more the road behind you will disappear. Chosen one, hear me now. The window before you is not permanent, and it is far more fragile than you realize. Heaven has swung open a gate, but it is narrow, and it is meant for a decisive step, not for endless observation. The air around you is heavy with divine opportunity, the kind that only appears in certain seasons of your life. But with every moment you stand still, the frame of that gate begins to draw inward. This is not about creating fear, it is about opening your eyes. Delay is not neutral, it is a choice in itself. Every heartbeat you spend debating is a heartbeat in which the door grows smaller, until one day you look up and see that it has closed completely, and the season that carried this opening has moved on without you. What God has placed within your reach now will not remain in reach indefinitely, and the sobering truth is this: not every open door is promised to remain open until you feel ready. As C.S. Lewis wrote in Mere Christianity, there is no use saying you choose to lie down when it has become impossible to stand up. That will not be the time for choosing. It will be the time when we discover which side we really have chosen, whether we realized it or not. This urgent warning underscores the fleeting nature of the divine opportunity before you. Hesitation now is not merely waiting. It is a choice that risks aligning you with inaction, revealing your stance when the gate closes, and you discover whether you chose heaven's call or the enemy's delay. Picture the book of life, where the author has recorded names, assignments, and moments prepared in advance. Your name is written there, and beside it, a line that matches this very moment in time. Heaven is calling you to step into it fully. But do not mistake being written in the book as a guarantee that you will automatically live out the fullness of what was penned. A calling can be lost through complacency. A divine appointment can be forfeited through hesitation. Consider Moses, chosen to lead a nation out of bondage, yet one act of disobedience kept him from entering the promised land. Think of Saul, anointed to reign yet delay. Compromise and divided loyalty opened the way for his crown to pass to another. These are not distant stories. They are warnings that even those marked by heaven can miss their moment if they linger too long at the threshold. The word declares, "I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." Deuteronomy 30-19. The choice is being set before you with absolute clarity right now. The gate is open in this very moment. The blessing is accessible. The assignment is active and alive, but it requires a yes that is not postponed, a faith that is not dependent on perfect conditions, an obedience that is not delayed until fear subsides. Chosen one, you are not being invited to simply observe. You are being summoned to cross over. The longer you wait, the more the hinge swings shut, and once it does, no human force can pry it open again. This is a holy moment, and holy moments are not designed for hesitation, they are designed for movement. Step now, while heaven still holds the gate wide before you. Chosen one, you need to understand something that heaven has been shouting over your life. The path ahead has already been prepared for you. You are not being called into chaos without direction, nor are you being pushed into battle without armor. Long before this moment arrived, God went ahead of you. He aligned circumstances you couldn't see, moved people into place without your knowledge, and positioned resources exactly where you would need them, even in the seasons when you felt forgotten. He was orchestrating details that will now become the stepping stones beneath your feet. You've walked through detours, endured closed doors, and faced moments that felt like crushing disappointments, but every one of them was a strategic reroute meant to protect you and bring you here, to this exact point in time. Think back to the moments you were late and avoided an accident, the opportunities that slipped away only for something greater to take their place, the friend who showed up with exactly the right words when your spirit was collapsing. None of these were coincidences. They were proof that heaven's hand has been over your life, even in the smallest details. When the enemy tried to set a snare for you, God shifted the terrain beneath your feet. When you didn't have the strength to stand, He covered you with His presence, so the attack could not take you out. You may not have recognized it then, but every layer of your journey has been intentional. Chosen one, you were never called to live an ordinary, safe, unnoticed existence. The assignment over your life was designed to disrupt darkness, to carry light into places where it has long been absent. That kind of calling will not always be easy. It will cost you comfort. It will require faith when you cannot see the next step. But the same God who calls you is the God who equips you. The word says, "The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." Deuteronomy 31-8. This is not a vague encouragement. It is a binding promise from the commander of heaven's armies to you. You are not stepping into the unknown. You are stepping into the prepared. Every thread of your past has been woven into this moment. Heaven has done its part. The way is set, the armor is ready, and the presence of God surrounds you. All that remains is for you to take the step. Chosen one, the time for standing between two worlds is over. You cannot keep one hand on heaven's assignment and the other tangled in the distractions of this world. You cannot declare loyalty to the King while still chasing what the crowd applauds. A divided heart will always pull you in opposite directions until you are torn apart inside. Heaven is not asking for a portion of you, it is claiming all of you. This is why you feel the tension in your soul, why your spirit feels restless when you try to live halfway committed. The call on your life is too great to be lived in fractions. You already know the truth. Indecision is a decision. Every moment you spend hesitating is ground the enemy gains. He whispers, "There's no rush," hoping you'll believe the lie that opportunities wait indefinitely. But he knows the longer you delay, the weaker your resolve will become. That is why heaven is speaking with such force now. because the cost of delay is not just a missed moment, it is a forfeited mission. The Lord has not been silent. He has been clear, speaking through signs, whispers, and the undeniable alignment of events. But clarity without action is still disobedience, and disobedience, when left unchallenged, becomes a path to destruction. The word says, "No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money." Matthew 6:24. Though the verse speaks of wealth, the principle is universal. You cannot serve two allegiances. Your heart, your loyalty, your future must be anchored in one kingdom, and heaven is inviting you to make that choice now. This is not a casual decision, it is a covenant. Once you step through this door, you are declaring to all of heaven and all of hell where you stand. Chosen one, the decision is before you. Heaven will not drag you through it, and hell cannot force you back from it. Only you can decide. But know this, the gate is open, the king is waiting, and the assignment is ready to be activated. What you choose in this moment will echo for the rest of your life. So choose with the boldness of one who knows their name is written in the book of destiny. Choose now while the door is still open, while the voice of heaven is still near, while your spirit is still burning with the call. Step forward. Seal your decision with action. Let the whole of you belong to the one who has never left your side. Chosen one, this is the moment where your decision cannot remain silent. Heaven is not only calling you to choose, it is calling you to declare it. In the courts of heaven, words carry the weight of covenant. When you speak your agreement, you align yourself openly with the will of God, and your declaration becomes a legal record in the spiritual realm. This is why silence is so dangerous, because silence leaves room for the enemy to question where you stand. You must answer this call, not just in your heart, but with your voice, with your actions, with something that marks today as the day you crossed the threshold. Say it aloud, write it down, let it be known. I choose life, I choose obedience. I choose the path heaven has set before me. If you need a simple seal to mark your covenant, declare it publicly. I choose life. Amen. 777. This is not for show. It is a prophetic act, a way of placing your signature under the contract God has extended to you in this moment. When you speak it, heaven hears, hell hears, and your own soul hears. Understand this. What you are agreeing to is not just a momentary decision. It is an eternal alignment. You are telling the Lord, yes, I will step through the gate while it is open. Yes, I will lay down my divided loyalties. Yes, I will trust you with the unknown. And once that yes leaves your mouth, the resources of heaven are released to sustain you. You will not walk alone. You will not fight unarmed. You will move forward clothed in authority because your obedience unlocks the power assigned to your mission. The enemy will try to convince you that saying it doesn't matter, that it's just words. But heaven operates on spoken promises. The universe itself was created by the word of God, and when you echo his truth with your mouth, you are stepping into the same creative authority. This is why your yes must be heard. So speak it, chosen one. Seal it. Let today be remembered in heaven as the day you stopped hovering at the threshold and walked through into your destiny. Chosen one, now that you have spoken your yes, understand what heaven has placed in your hands. You have not stepped into uncertainty, you have stepped into a path that was prepared long before you ever knew its name. Every moment of your life, every seeming setback, every closed door, every detour has been woven into this divine design. Nothing has been wasted. Even the seasons that felt silent and empty were part of heaven's hidden preparation for this day. You are not behind schedule. You are right on time in the eternal plan. From this point forward, you will not walk alone. The same God who called you has already gone ahead of you. His presence will be your covering, his word your foundation, his spirit your guide. The assignment that once felt too heavy will now be carried with his strength, because your obedience has aligned you with his power. The Lord himself has promised, The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your soul in drought and strengthen your bones. You shall be like a watered garden and like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. Isaiah 58:11. This is not a poetic idea, it is a covenant reality. You may still face opposition, but you will face it from a position of victory. The gate you have stepped through is not just an opportunity, it is a new realm of authority. Hell will recognize the change in you, and heaven will confirm it with signs, provision, and divine appointments. Every step you take in alignment with this calling will produce fruit that will last beyond your lifetime. You will become a living testimony that obedience is the fastest route to breakthrough, that faith is stronger than fear, and that the God who calls is faithful to complete what he began in you. Chosen one, hold your head high, walk forward with boldness. The window that was once closing has now become the doorway you are standing inside. The time of hesitation is over. The season of alignment has begun. You are not just in God's will, you are moving with heaven's current. And from this day on, your life will carry the mark of one who heard, who answered, and who stepped through before it was too late. This is your moment. Keep walking. Don't look back. The best chapters have just been unlocked. Chosen one, now seal this moment in prayer, for what has just happened is not simply an emotional decision, it is a spiritual transaction written into the records of heaven. Let your prayer rise like incense before the throne, not rushed, not half-hearted, but with the full weight of your surrender and your faith. Prayer. Father in heaven, I come before you with my whole heart laid bare. Today I have heard your call for the third and final time, and I refuse to turn away. I repent for every moment I hesitated, for every time I doubted when you had already spoken. I renounce the voice of fear, the lies of the enemy, and the distractions of this world that have kept me standing at the threshold. I declare with my mouth and believe in my heart that you are my Lord, my shepherd, and my guide. I say yes to the path you have prepared, yes to the mission you have assigned, yes to the cost and the courage it will require. Lord, close every door that is not from you, and open wide the gates of the destiny you have written in your book for me. Let my steps be ordered by your Spirit, and keep me steady when the winds of doubt try to push me back. I put on the armor. You have provided truth as my belt, righteousness as my breastplate, faith as my shield, salvation as my helmet, and your word as my sword. I cover myself in the blood of Jesus, knowing it speaks a better word over my life than any accusation of the enemy. From this moment forward, I am fully yours. I surrender my plans, my fears, my timelines, and my comfort to your will. Let my obedience release the resources of heaven. Let my yes echo through eternity. May my life shine with your light, so that every step I take testifies to your faithfulness. I choose life. I choose obedience. I choose you, now and forever. In Jesus' name, Amen. Chosen one, pray these words not as a ritual, but as a covenant. Feel the weight of each line, for they are binding in heaven's court. This is your signature on the scroll of your assignment. And know this when you pray. In surrender and faith, angels are dispatched, doors begin to move, and the atmosphere over your life shifts. You have spoken, heaven has heard, and your path will never be the same. Tonight, heaven is not silent. This is not a coincidence, but a reality. It is the moment written before your first breath, the hour when heaven's stillness touches the rhythm of your earthly heart. Silence on earth does not mean silence in heaven. If these words reach you now, it is because the signal has already been sent. Heaven has chosen this exact moment to whisper, your appointed time has come. Every time you thought you opened a page by chance, heaven was opening a door on purpose. Every time you called something a coincidence, the divine plan was unfolding quietly behind it. Every time you tried to escape the weight of life, God was guiding you toward the very intersection of destiny. Do not delay, do not fear, do not run away. Instead, stand still, listen, open your heart. For tonight, something moves in the unseen realm. It is not an ending, it is a sacred crossing, a meeting point where the finite touches the infinite, where the soul is invited to leave the familiar and walk into the written path prepared long ago. You are not here by accident. You have been summoned. You are not fleeing from purpose. You are being called home. You are not lost. You are nearing the divine alignment that has always awaited you. This is the sign. This is the appointed hour. This is the open door. Beyond it, hesitation can no longer exist, because delay itself has become disobedience. You are reading not to gain information, but to receive instruction. You are hearing not to be comforted, but to be prepared. What comes next is beyond your control, yet fully within the hands of the one who designed your breath. He does not need your strength, only your stillness. He does not ask that you understand everything, only that you believe what is true. He does not require you to move faster, only that you stop at the right moment now. This is no longer the world's hour, it is heaven's intervention. Be still, be ready, receive what has been sent. For tonight marks the beginning of a divine unveiling, a message not thundered from the clouds, but whispered through one sent to awaken your sleeping soul. This is the hour I wrote for you before the first dawn of creation. Do not overlook this moment. Every moment before has led you here. There was a time when your days repeated like clockwork, safe, predictable, and silent. You woke, worked, talked, scrolled, slept. The same motions, the same patterns, the same hollow rhythm echoing through each sunrise. You called it normal life, but deep inside, something sacred was dying. The fire within you dimmed beneath the weight of repetition. Each day looked the same, but your soul knew something was missing. That absence was not failure, it was heaven's signal that your season was ending. As C.S. Lewis wrote in Mere Christianity, God is not hurried along in the time stream of this universe, any more than an author is hurried along in the imaginary time of his own novel. This insight reminds us that what felt like a monotonous delay was heaven's deliberate pacing, preparing you for the divine shift now unfolding. Every time you tried to convince yourself that everything was fine, heaven heard the tremor in your voice. Every time you forced a smile to hide your fatigue, heaven saw the ache behind your eyes. Every time you told yourself, maybe this is all there is, heaven whispered, no, there is more. The world taught you to survive routine, but you were not created merely to survive. You were created to awaken. When a soul chosen by God becomes too comfortable in smallness, heaven begins to stir the ground beneath their feet. It does not come as noise, but as restlessness. It is the gentle shaking that says, move. What you once called boredom was not the absence of meaning, it was the beginning of transformation. God disrupts what is stagnant so you can discover what is sacred. He interrupts the ordinary, so you can encounter the eternal. Do not despise the monotony that led you here. It was never punishment, it was preparation. Those long, uneventful days were forging your discernment. Those nights of emptiness were clearing space for revelation. When nothing seemed to change, heaven was rearranging everything. Every silence was a summons. Every still moment was a seed. Every delay was a doorway forming in the unseen. Now, the threshold stands before you. Behind you lies comfort. Ahead lies calling. Behind you lies the life you managed. Ahead lies the life God ordained. Behind you are patterns that dulled your soul. Ahead is a purpose that will awaken it. Do not cling to the familiar. It cannot hold you anymore. Do not fear the unknown. It has already been written for you. Step forward. Step beyond the safe. Step into the unseen. The rhythm of heaven is calling your name, and this time you are meant to follow it, not out of fear, but out of faith. For the life you were born to live begins on the other side of everything you thought you knew. Fear always comes first when heaven opens a new path. It whispers through the cracks of your mind, asking, "What if I fall? What if I lose everything? What if it hurts?" But fear is not a warning. It is a veil. It covers what is holy beneath the surface of uncertainty. Every soul chosen by God must walk through that veil, because faith cannot grow in clarity, it grows in mystery. The unknown is not a threat to your destiny. It is the womb where your destiny takes form. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." This insight reveals that the fears and uncertainties you face are God's call to awaken your faith, pushing you toward the divine path prepared for you. Do not fear the silence that follows change. Silence is not absence. It is presence in disguise. God speaks most clearly in the quiet places, when the noise of the world fades and the heart becomes still enough to hear. What seems like divine distance is often divine focus. Heaven is not ignoring you, it is shaping you in the dark. You may feel the weight of transition pressing on your chest, as if something in you is dying, and in truth, something is. The false self that needed control. The version of you that depended on human approval. The voice that told you you were not enough. Those parts must fall away so that what is eternal in you may rise. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding what was never truly you. Do not fear what you cannot see. The unseen is not empty. It is overflowing with preparation. Angels walk in silence long before the sound of fulfillment reaches your ears. God works in shadows before light breaks the horizon. What you call waiting, heaven calls weaving. What you call delay, heaven calls design. Remember this. The one who called you into this hour did not bring you here to abandon you in the middle of it. Every unknown has already been mapped in his wisdom. Every fear has already been met by his presence. Every possible loss has already been covered by his provision. So when fear rises, let faith rise higher. When your knees tremble, let your soul remember who walks beside you. When your vision blurs, let your heart recall the promise. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I have called you by name, and you are mine. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is faith moving through it. And every step you take in faith is a declaration to heaven and to hell alike. You are not retreating, you are advancing toward the promise written for your name. There was a season when you tried to drown the ache inside you with the sound of the world. You filled your days with motion, with conversation, with music that numbed rather than healed. You laughed at empty jokes, chased momentary thrills, and scrolled endlessly through fragments of other people's lives, hoping distraction could silence the void. But the silence never left it, only waited. And when the noise faded, you heard it again, the deep, wordless ache that whispered, "There must be more." Every time you turned up the volume of the world, heaven lowered its own, waiting for you to notice that peace cannot coexist with chaos. The world's noise promises comfort, but only deepens confusion. It offers movement, but no direction. It gives stimulation, but not satisfaction. You cannot feed a starving soul with echoes. You must feed it with truth. Do not despise the emptiness you feel now. It is not a curse, it is a clearing. God empties what he intends to fill. He strips away the noise so you can learn the rhythm of his voice. What feels like silence is actually an invitation. It is not rejection, it is refinement. It is the still place where revelation is born. Imbalance gives way to insight. Noise gives way to knowing. Every time you stopped to breathe and felt that sudden quiet, that was heaven's breath brushing past your ear. Every time you paused mid-chaos and felt your chest tighten with longing, that was heaven reminding you that you were never built for the noise, you were built for communion. The silence that scared you was never empty. It was full of God's presence waiting to be recognized. So do not fill every space with sound. Let there be pauses. Let there be stillness. Let the quiet stretch long enough for your spirit to recognize its creator again. Because the same silence you once feared will become the soil where faith grows deepest. When the world grows loud again, remember, silence on earth is not silence in heaven. It is the sound of heaven leaning close. And when you finally stop trying to silence the silence, you will hear what the noise always tried to hide, the voice that has been calling your name since the beginning. It was never gone. It was never far. It was simply waiting for you to listen. The greatest deception of the world is not darkness, it is distortion. It tells you half-truths that sound gentle but slowly poison your spirit. It whispers, you are not enough. It insists, you must earn love. It accuses, you are the sum of your mistakes. And so you spend years trying to fix what was never broken, to prove what was already true, to chase what heaven had already given. You call it ambition, but heaven calls it amnesia, the forgetting of who you truly are. Every time you looked into the mirror and saw only failure, heaven saw a masterpiece in progress. Every time you replayed your past, thinking it disqualified you, heaven was writing redemption into those same pages. Every time the world said, you are too small, heaven whispered, you were chosen for something greater. The battle for your destiny has never been about your ability. It has always been about your identity. You were never a mistake. You were never unloved. You were never too late. Before you took your first breath, God spoke your name into existence. Before you lifted your eyes to the sky, heaven had already marked your path. Before you ever asked to belong, you were already written into belonging. The world measures worth by success. Heaven measures it by surrender. The world applauds the one who conquers. Heaven crowns the one who remains faithful. The world values appearance. Heaven values alignment. That is a strength. That is courage. That is character. Do not chase what the world calls validation. It will always demand more and never satisfy. Do not define yourself by the opinions of those who never saw your soul. Do not reduce your divine purpose to fit into their comfort zone. The crowd that once praised you will one day question you, but the God who called you never changes his mind. His love is not conditional. It is covenantal. Each time you doubt your worth, remember who authored your life. You are not the creation of random chance. You are the evidence of intentional design. You were born to reflect glory, not to compete for it. You were meant to carry peace, not to beg for it. You were chosen to build, not merely to belong. So lift your head again. Shake the dust of false names off your spirit. Let the lies fall like broken chains from your mind. You are not defined by your wounds. You are refined by them. You are not the echo of shame. You are the sound of redemption. The one who formed you still calls you his own. You were never forgotten. You were never unseen. You were never disqualified. You are known. You are loved. You are his. And that truth, once remembered, cannot be taken away. The world calls it an ending. Heaven calls it homecoming. What feels like a departure is not a disappearance. It is a passage. You are not leaving life. You are leaving the shadow of life for life itself. You are not walking into darkness. You are stepping into light so pure that the human eye could never bear it. You are not vanishing. You are being revealed. The end that frightens the earth is the beginning heaven has been waiting for. Every ending in this world is only a curtain, not a wall. When one realm closes its eyes, another opens them. Death is not a thief. It is a messenger, one sent to guide you from the temporary into the eternal. It does not destroy what is real. It only removes what is fading. It does not take love away. It escorts love back to its source. What was borrowed is being returned. What was broken is being made whole. What was heavy is being lifted. Do not fear this crossing. The same God who carried you through every storm will carry you across this threshold. You will not walk it alone. The angels that watched in silence will now move in song. Peace will cover you like light. Rest will wrap around you like dawn. The breath you think you are losing is only changing air. The body you leave behind was a shell, beautiful, temporary, necessary, but not the whole of who you are. You were always spirit first. Every longing you ever had for joy, every ache for meaning, every hunger for eternity, they all point here. Heaven is not a distant country. It is home calling you by name. The echo you heard in your heart all these years was this moment approaching the sound of completion, the fulfillment of a promise whispered before your birth. You are not being taken, you are being received. So, lift your eyes. Do not cling to what cannot follow. The memories you fear losing are not erased, they are redeemed. What was love will remain love. What was true will remain true. Every bond forged in God endures beyond time, untouched by decay. This is not farewell. It is fulfillment. Not silence, but song. Not ending, but returning. And when you finally cross, you will see it. The hands that once shaped galaxies reaching toward you, the eyes that watched your every tear now filled with joy. You will know you are home. You will understand that nothing was lost, only transformed. And heaven will whisper, "Welcome back, my child. You have returned to where you have always belonged." 1. There comes a moment in every chosen life when God asks for surrender, not because he wants to take something from you, but because he wants to give you something greater. You cannot carry the new while clutching the old. You cannot step into freedom while dragging the chains of shame. You cannot enter light while gripping what was forged in darkness. The only way forward is to lay it down. Lay down the guilt that has haunted your nights. Lay down the regrets that keep replaying in your mind. Lay down the need to understand why certain things happened. Every unanswered question is not a failure of heaven. It is an invitation to trust. Every delay is not a denial. It is a design. Every loss that broke your heart became the soil where your strength began to grow. Do not hide the parts of you that hurt. God cannot heal what you keep buried. Bring your wounds into his light, the ones you never spoke aloud, the ones you disguised with a smile. He already knows them. Nothing in you is too damaged to be redeemed. Nothing is too dark to be restored. Grace was never meant to cover the perfect. It was meant to resurrect the broken. Each time you choose to surrender instead of control, heaven moves closer. Each time you confess instead of conceal, chains fall silently in the unseen. Each time you forgive yourself, others, the past, you reclaim the power the enemy tried to steal. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is warfare. It breaks every lie that says you are still bound to what hurt you. Do not mistake letting go for losing. Letting go is what sets you free. The cross was not a symbol of defeat, it was the gate of deliverance. What looks like loss in the world's eyes is victory in heaven's record. You were never asked to carry shame across the threshold, only faith. And when you finally lay down what no longer belongs to you, you will feel the weight lift and the air clear. Because surrender is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of restoration. So breathe again. Release what was, receive what is coming. Lift your hands not in despair but in release. Let your tears water the soil of new beginnings. You are forgiven, you are free, you are loved. And heaven is waiting to place in your hands what can only be given to the one who dares to let go. One of the heaviest burdens the chosen carry is not their own pain, but the fear of what will happen to those they love when they can no longer hold them. You replay their names in prayer, whisper their faces into heaven's memory, hoping somehow your concern could protect them. You ask, who will guide them when I am gone? Who will comfort them when I no longer can? But what you forget is this: you were never their savior. You were their reflection of his love, his patience, his faithfulness. Every time you wiped a tear from their face, it was his hand through yours. Every time you gave a word of hope, it was his voice borrowed for a moment. Every time you stood between them and despair, heaven was showing them how love looks when it walks in human form. You were not meant to replace God's care, you were meant to reveal it. And now that your journey shifts, his hand will not withdraw. It will simply take your place. Do not fear for the ones you leave behind. The same God who carried you through fire and flood will walk beside them. The same voice that whispered peace into your storms will whisper into theirs. The same protection that shielded you in your weakest nights will wrap around them like light. Love that comes from heaven does not end when breath ends. It continues, silent and strong, in ways unseen by mortal eyes. You must learn the sacred art of releasing. To release is not to abandon, it is to trust the continuity of divine care. When you let go, you acknowledge that his arms reach farther than yours ever could. When you step back, heaven steps in. When you stop trying to hold everything together, God shows he already has. So, rest your anxious heart. You have done what was yours to do. You have loved, guided, wept, and prayed. You have sown seeds that will bloom long after you are gone. Those prayers you spoke half asleep, those tears you shed without words, they are not forgotten. Heaven does not lose what you entrust to it. The soil of eternity remembers every seed of love you planted, and in its season, it will rise again. Do not let worry dishonor the faith that brought you this far. Fear is the language of control. Trust is the language of surrender. When you choose trust, you declare to heaven, they are yours, and that declaration echoes louder than any fear. Let your spirit rest in this truth. They are not alone. They never will be. For the same shepherd who led you beside still waters will lead them too. The same light that carried you through the valley of shadows will rise for them at dawn. The same grace that sustained you will sustain them. So let go not in grief, but in peace. You are not leaving them behind. You are leaving them in better hands. Hands that never tire, hands that never fail, hands that shaped you and will shape them still. And when you finally release them, you will feel it, the holy quiet of completion, because love that trusts God does not die. It simply returns to its source and multiplies. There are moments when you look back and wonder, why did it have to hurt so much? You remember the nights when hope was thin, the prayers that felt unanswered, the doors that stayed closed no matter how long you knocked. You remember the betrayals that broke your heart, the losses that hollowed your chest, the dreams that died too early. And you ask quietly, was it all in vain? But heaven never wastes pain. What felt like destruction was construction. What felt like a delay was the design. What felt like loss was love reshaping your destiny. Every tear you cried watered something you could not yet see. Every heartbreak tilled the ground for deeper compassion. Every disappointment trained your spirit to trust in silence. The soil of suffering is the only place where unshakable faith can grow. Gold is not refined on the mountaintop. It is formed in the fire. Diamonds are not born in sunlight. They are forged in pressure and darkness. So too is your soul refined, not ruined, by what you endured. Do not call your pain wasted. Pain was the language heaven used when words were not enough. It taught you to listen with your spirit, to love without certainty, to stand when everything told you to fall. Pain taught you empathy. It burned away pride. It stripped you of illusion so that truth could have room to breathe. Without the nights of sorrow, you would never have learned the strength of joy. Without the wounds, you would never have carried healing. Look at the patterns in Scripture. Every chosen life passed through fire before glory. Abraham waited. Joseph was betrayed. Moses wandered. David hid in caves. Hannah wept in the temple. Elijah trembled in a cave. Daniel faced lions. The three friends faced flames. Esther faced death. Paul faced chains. And yet, every one of them emerged, not smaller, but stronger, not bitter, but bright, not forgotten, but fulfilled. What they carried was not comfort, it was calling. And their calling, like yours, was forged through suffering. Your pain was not proof that God abandoned you. It was proof that He trusted you to carry the weight that could build others later. He allowed you to break so you could learn how to mend. He let you walk through storms so your faith could become shelter for others. You have been through what you could not understand, but heaven understood every second. So now, when you remember the long nights, do not curse them, bless them. They were the birthplace of revelation. They were the dark soil where heaven planted your strength. Every tear was counted, every wound was witnessed, every silence was sacred. Waiting is the hardest obedience and the purest faith. It is the place where prayers meet silence, where hope must learn to breathe without evidence. Every chosen soul must walk through this season the long corridor between promise and fulfillment. It is here that heaven measures not your speed but your surrender. For in waiting, you are not being delayed, you are being prepared. Each time you feel forgotten, heaven is writing a chapter unseen. Each time you ache for answers, heaven is deepening your roots. Each time your heart asks, "How long?" heaven replies, "Until you're ready to carry what I've written for you." Waiting is not a pause in the plan, it is the plan. The promise is forged in patience, the blessing is tested in time. The silence of God is not his absence, but his artistry. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. Do not confuse inactivity with insignificance. Even when nothing seems to move, everything is moving under heaven's hand. Seeds grow in the dark before breaking through the soil. Rivers carve their path long before they are seen. What looks like a standstill is the hidden motion of destiny. Each time you want to give up, remember those who waited before you. Abraham waited for a son. Joseph waited in chains. Moses waited in the wilderness. David waited in caves. Hannah waited in tears. Daniel waited among lions. Esther waited in silence. Paul waited behind bars. None of them was idle. They were being shaped. None of them was forgotten. They were being refined. God's timing is not a denial of your worth. It is the protection of your purpose. So wait when it hurts, when you don't understand, when your prayers echo back empty. Wait when the night stretches too long, when faith trembles, when others move ahead and you remain still. Wait, not with clenched fists but open hands. Wait not with bitterness but with expectancy. Wait, not as a prisoner of time but as a partner in destiny. Wait with faith, wait with hope, wait with love. For every moment you wait in trust, heaven builds strength within you. Every breath of endurance becomes worship. Every sigh of longing becomes intercession. And when the appointed time arrives, it will not feel rushed, it will feel right. God does not forget the one who waits. He honors them, he anoints them, he sends them forth in fullness. So, hold fast, keep your eyes lifted, keep your heart soft, keep your spirit anchored. The waiting will not last forever, but what it produces will. Heavenly Father, we stand now at the edge of all things familiar, where time fades into eternity, and the soul learns again what it means to trust. You have spoken through silence, through tears, through waiting. You have written your message, not on pages, but on hearts. And now, as this divine revelation comes to a close, we come before you not with understanding, but with surrender. We thank you for the days that broke us, for they taught us how to bend. We thank you for the nights that silenced us, for they made us listen. We thank you for the delays that humbled us, for they made us depend. Every sorrow became a seed. Every wound became a doorway. Every unanswered prayer became a teacher. You have turned what we feared into what we needed. You have shown us that the valley is as holy as the mountain. Lord, tonight we bring you everything, our striving and our stillness, our victories and our failures, our joy and our shame. We lay them down like stones at your feet, trusting that in your hands they will build something eternal. We give you the fears that haunted our minds, the guilt that chained our hearts, the questions that never found answers. We release them all, because we finally understand that you never asked us to fix what only you can redeem. Teach us, O God, to wait without complaint, to trust without proof, to love without condition. Remind us that faith is not found in clarity, but in courage. Help us to see that hope is not denial of reality, but defiance of despair. Make our spirits steady in the storm, our hearts soft in the struggle, and our eyes fixed on what cannot fade. We lift before you those we love, the faces that have been our home in this world. We entrust them to your keeping, knowing your care is deeper than ours could ever be. Guard them in your mercy. Guide them in your truth. Hold them in your arms when we cannot. Let the echo of our prayers remain around them like a song that never ends. And for us, Lord, teach us to live ready to walk each day as if heaven is near, to forgive quickly, to love deeply, to speak gently, to believe fiercely. Let our lives become altars where your glory dwells. Let our endings become beginnings in your story. Let our final breath on earth be our first breath in eternity. We rest now in your promise that nothing was wasted, nothing was random, nothing was outside your hand. We rest in the truth that every road, every ache, every prayer was leading home. So we say it once more with reverence, with faith, with peace. Not the end, not loss, not silence. Only return, only love, only you. Amen. Chosen one, if you're watching this message right now, it's no accident. God has guided you here to this very moment because a divine message is unfolding for you. Today is the boundary line. Either you step into the eternal promise, or you let slip away the inheritance God ordained for you before the foundations of the world. This is not an ordinary day, not just another sunrise that comes and goes without weight. This is a hinge in your destiny, a moment carefully written in heaven's scrolls long before your name was ever spoken on earth. Today is the turning point, and heaven has summoned your attention because everything prepared for years is now pressing into your life. You may have walked through seasons that felt silent, carrying prayers whispered into the night, tears shed when no one saw, and questions buried deep within your soul. But heaven did not overlook you. Every cry was recorded, every plea stored in the heart of God. What felt forgotten was in fact preserved for this very hour. The angel assigned to your life has gone ahead of you, guarding, preparing, opening pathways you cannot yet see. They tremble now, not in fear, but with the urgency of heaven, because if you treat this as ordinary, you risk missing the door God has opened for you. Revelation 3:8 declares, "Behold, I have set before you an open door that no one can shut." That door is open today. It cannot be closed by man. It cannot be stolen by darkness. The only danger is your hesitation, your unbelief, your failure to recognize the weight of this moment. Chosen one, this is your hour. Do not shrink back. Do not dismiss this as a coincidence. Heaven is moving, the Spirit is stirring, and the hand of God is upon you. Step forward, for today marks the beginning of the story you were always meant to walk in. Chosen one, understand this. You are standing at a divine crossroads. What feels like another day on the calendar is, in truth, a sacred appointment written by God before you were born. This is the moment where everything shifts, not because of chance, not because of human design, but because the Lord Himself has ordained it. In heaven's timeline, there are days that carry eternity's weight, and today is one of them. For years, you have been moving through what seemed like wilderness seasons, times when nothing appeared to change. You questioned whether God still remembered you, whether His promises had somehow slipped beyond reach. Yet those years were not wasted. They were years of shaping, of refining, of preparing the vessel. Just as Israel wandered 40 years before stepping into the promised land, your wandering has not been aimless, it has been purposeful. God has been teaching you to depend on Him, to hear His voice in the silence, to endure when answers seemed delayed. All of it was preparation for the very threshold you now stand upon. The angel assigned to you knows the significance of this hour. That is why they press with such urgency. They have seen what lies ahead, opportunities you cannot imagine, alignments that will alter your course, doors that no enemy can shut. They are not sent to frighten you, but to awaken you, to ensure that your spirit does not slumber when destiny knocks. Chosen one, seal this moment of destiny. Comment boldly. 777. Today I walk through the open door God set before me. Every 777 is a prophetic seal, declaring heaven's decree over your life. Write it now, claim it, and step into the story written for you from the beginning. The Apostle Paul wrote, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Romans 8:28. Nothing in your past has been wasted. Every delay, every heartbreak, every closed door has been woven into a tapestry that is only now revealing its design. What seemed like detours were in fact the straight path God chose to bring you to this exact moment. Chosen one, you are not here by accident. You are here because the time has come. The years of hiddenness are giving way to unveiling. The season of testing is giving way to release. You stand now at the pivot point of your life story. Heaven has declared, the preparation is complete, and the hour to step forward is now. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Not a single prayer you have ever prayed has been wasted. Not a single tear has fallen from your eyes without being caught in the hands of heaven. Every sigh, every groan, every whisper you thought disappeared into silence has been recorded in the eternal books. You may have believed that your cries were too small for God to notice, but in truth, they became incense rising before his throne. Heaven remembers, and today heaven answers. Think back to the countless nights you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, whispering, "Lord, are you listening?" Those moments were not empty. In those very hours, the Spirit of God himself interceded for you, carrying your burdens before the Father with groans too deep for words. When you felt abandoned, when you thought your prayers hit a wall and fell back lifeless, in reality, they were being gathered, preserved for a day such as this. Today, that stored-up cry has reached its fullness. Today, the sound of your weeping has turned into the sound of heaven's response. Remember Hannah, the woman who prayed for a son in the temple while others mocked her. Even the priest misunderstood her desperation, thinking she was drunk. Yet God heard her anguish, and her tears gave birth to Samuel, a prophet who would anoint kings and shape Israel's destiny. Beloved, your hidden cries are no less powerful. They have been preparing the ground for something far beyond what you asked. Your prayers have not been wasted breath. They have been seeds planted in the unseen, watered by your tears, waiting for the right season to burst forth. Psalm 56:8 declares, "You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book?" This is not poetry, it is heavenly reality. Every restless night, every cry of pain, every unanswered question has been stored as evidence in God's book, and now the judge of all the earth is ready to render his verdict. Your tears are about to be poured back into your life as blessings, your hidden petitions unveiled in tangible answers. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." This profound insight reveals the purpose behind your tears and silent prayers. The pains of waiting and hidden cries were not signs of divine neglect, but God's megaphone, shouting to awaken your spirit and prepare you for the fullness of his answers, turning your deepest sorrows into the catalyst for heaven's response. Chosen one, what you thought was silence was never neglect. It was a strategy. The delays you despised were the very soil where endurance and faith grew strong. The closed doors that broke your heart were divine protections. The waiting that felt unbearable was heaven's way of ensuring that when the answer came, it would not slip through your fingers. Now, the season of waiting is closing, and the season of fulfillment is breaking open. Chosen one, rejoice, for the prayers you whispered in the shadows are stepping into the light. The tears you shed in secret are becoming rivers of joy, and the God who saw it all now says, "It is time, chosen one." What you have called a coincidence has never been a coincidence at all. Every detail of your journey has been carefully arranged, even when it looked like chaos. The conversations that seemed casual, the people who entered your life for a brief season, the unexpected turns that pulled you away from what you thought you wanted. All of these have been threads in a larger design. You may not have seen the pattern, but heaven has been weaving it from the beginning. Your angel has been working quietly in places you did not know existed, walking ahead of you to prepare environments you have not yet stepped into. While you wrestled with uncertainty, they were shifting circumstances so that when the time arrived, everything would be aligned. Some opportunities were allowed to slip through your hands, not because you were unworthy, but because they would have pulled you off course. Some relationships were released from your life, not because you failed, but because they no longer matched the destiny you are walking into. What looked like loss was often preservation. Think of the moments you called a delay. You believed nothing was happening, yet behind the curtain, an entire stage was being set. While you grew restless, doors were being built that would open at the exact moment you were ready. Heaven's orchestration is rarely visible in the moment, but when it reveals itself, you will see how perfectly every piece fits. The timing, the connections, the opportunities, they will arrive with such clarity that you will know they were never random. Chosen one, the path ahead has already been prepared. Certain hearts have already been softened before you meet them. Certain conversations have already been written before you speak them. Even the obstacles that appear in the coming days will serve only to redirect you into the exact place you are meant to stand. Nothing is wasted, nothing is accidental, and nothing can block what has been appointed. As C.S. Lewis reflected in letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, we may ignore, but we can nowhere evade, the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito. This truth underscores the hidden orchestration of your journey. What seemed like chaos or coincidence was God's presence moving incognito, weaving every detail into a divine pattern, ensuring that no thread is wasted and every alignment serves his eternal purpose. This is why heaven moves with urgency. The orchestration is reaching its unveiling. You are about to step into moments where you will look back and realize the struggles, the detours, even the heartbreaks were essential parts of the design. The doors you thought were shut forever will swing open, and you will see with your own eyes that every step has been guided. Chosen one, trust the unseen hand that has never left your side. The arrangement is complete, the path is clear, and soon what was hidden will stand before you in undeniable form. What is approaching your life is not simply a blessing, it is a transformation. You will not only receive something new, you will become someone new. The person who steps into the season ahead will not be the same person who carried the weight of waiting, who endured the long nights of silence, or who wept in hidden places. What is about to unfold will reshape the way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, and the way others recognize the mark of heaven upon you. This transformation will not be shallow or temporary. It will touch the deepest parts of your identity. Where you once doubted, faith will rise. Where you once feared, courage will stand. Where you once felt broken, healing will flow. Old labels that others put on you and even the ones you placed on yourself will fall away as irrelevant, because they cannot define the person you are becoming. You will no longer be bound by the failures of your past or the limitations of your surroundings. You will carry a new strength, quiet yet undeniable, birthed from the fire you endured and the hand of God that has carried you. 2 Corinthians 5:17 affirms this truth. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come. This is not a poetic idea, it is your reality. The old version of you, the one who questioned, doubted, and felt unseen, is being exchanged for the one heaven has been shaping in silence. That new creation is rising now. Chosen one, this transformation will ripple into every area of your life. Relationships will shift. Some will be drawn closer to you because they see the light of your renewal, while others will naturally fade away, no longer able to walk where you are going. Opportunities will appear that once felt far beyond reach, because now your capacity to carry them has been expanded. Even your sense of purpose will deepen. Dreams you buried long ago will come alive again, not as fragile hopes, but as living realities. And as this happens, those who see you will wonder what changed. They will not understand that it was not just circumstance, but the breath of heaven itself that transformed you. They will notice the softness in your heart, the strength in your spirit, the clarity in your vision. They will see a life touched, reshaped, and redefined by divine promise. Chosen one, embrace this moment. You are not merely stepping into blessing, you are stepping into transformation. The new creation is already stirring within you, and soon the world will see what heaven has always known. You were never meant to remain the same. Chosen one, as the new season unfolds, you will begin to notice signs that cannot be ignored. These will not be random coincidences, but clear confirmations that heaven is moving on your behalf. At first, they may appear subtle, a conversation that happens at just the right moment, a door opening that you thought had long been sealed, or an unexpected encounter that awakens something deep within you. These moments will carry a weight that words cannot explain, and your spirit will know they are not ordinary. You may meet people who seem like strangers, yet their presence will feel familiar, as though your soul has recognized them long before your eyes ever did. When this happens, do not dismiss it. These are divine alignments, placed in your path with precision. Some of these connections will carry answers to prayers you have prayed for years. Others will carry keys that unlock doors you could not open on your own. Every one of them is intentional. In the days ahead, you will feel an unusual clarity when making decisions. Choices that once caused confusion will suddenly feel simple, because the spirit within you will nudge you toward the right path. Pay attention to those nudges. Do not brush them aside as fleeting thoughts. They are part of the orchestration you have been prepared for. Heaven has already arranged the pieces, and these inner promptings are the confirmations that guide you through the unfolding plan. Chosen one. There will also be moments when certain people or opportunities leave your life. Do not mistake this as a loss or rejection. When heaven removes something, it is always to protect and redirect. If a door closes, it is because a greater one is about to open. If a relationship fades, it is because your path is elevating, and not everyone can follow where you are going. These changes are themselves signs, reminders that destiny requires pruning as much as planting. As you look back, you will see how these signs connect, like stones laid across a river, guiding you from one side to the other. Alone, they may seem small, but together they create a clear path forward. Soon, the confirmations will no longer be subtle, they will be undeniable. You will stand in the middle of opportunities you once thought were impossible, and you will recognize that every step was guided. Chosen one, trust these signs. They are not meant to confuse you, but to awaken you. They are heaven's way of ensuring you do not miss the moment prepared for you. Watch closely, walk carefully, and be ready, for each sign will lead you closer to the fulfillment of what has always been yours. Chosen one, everything you have endured, every delay, every detour, has been moving you toward an appointed moment. This is not chance, not human calculation, but the unfolding of a time God Himself has set. There are seasons in life when we labor, when we wait, when we feel as though nothing changes, and yet all of it leads to a day when the waiting ends and fulfillment begins. You are approaching such a day. Heaven has marked it, and nothing on earth can alter it. For years you may have wondered why things did not happen sooner, why doors seemed to remain closed, why opportunities slipped away, why prayers seemed suspended in silence. The answer is not that you were forgotten, but that the time was not yet right. If the blessing had come too early, it might have slipped through your fingers. If the door had opened before its season, it might have crushed you under its weight. But now the preparation has been complete, and what was once withheld is about to be released. Isaiah 60:22 reminds us, "At the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen." That right time is no longer distant. It is pressing into your reality now. Chosen one, the appointed time is not only about what you will receive, but who you have become. In the waiting, your faith has been forged, your resilience strengthened, your character refined. You are no longer the same person who began the journey years ago. What once would have overwhelmed you will now be carried with strength. What once felt impossible is now within your reach, because heaven has shaped you into someone who can hold it. The promise and the person are meeting in perfect alignment. As this time unfolds, you will notice that things begin to move quickly. Events will align in ways that feel sudden, but they are the result of years of unseen preparation. Relationships will appear, doors will swing open, opportunities will find you, and you will realize that heaven wastes no time once the appointed season arrives. What felt delayed will suddenly accelerate. What seemed impossible will now unfold effortlessly. Chosen one, lift your eyes with expectation. Do not shrink back into fear or doubt, for this is the moment you have been prepared for. The waiting has not been in vain. It was building the strength required for the fulfillment. The appointed time is here, and the one who promised is faithful to bring it to pass. As the appointed time begins to unfold, you will feel changes rising within you that cannot be explained by human logic. It will not be a single dramatic moment, but a gradual unveiling, as if a new version of yourself is stepping forward from the shadows. This transformation is not superficial. It is rooted in the very fabric of who you are. The doubts that once crippled you will lose their power, the fears that once silenced you will fade, and the heaviness that once chained you will break off. You will begin to walk lighter, speak bolder, and carry yourself with a strength you did not realize was possible. Others will notice before you even recognize it fully. They will see the quiet confidence in your eyes, the steadiness in your voice, the calm authority in your presence. Some will marvel at the change, while others may feel unsettled, because the transformation in you will expose what has remained stagnant in them. Do not fear this reaction. Transformation always separates those who are ready to grow from those who wish to remain the same. The renewing process will not only touch your outward expression, but will reshape your inner world. The thoughts that once spiraled into discouragement will now be met with clarity. The patterns of defeat that seemed unbreakable will give way to new habits of strength. Even your emotions, once tossed like waves by uncertainty, will begin to settle into peace. This is not because the circumstances around you suddenly vanish, but because heaven has shifted something inside of you. You are no longer responding as the one who was waiting in weakness, but as the one who has been prepared in strength. Do not underestimate how deeply this transformation will reach. It will affect the way you see opportunities, the way you handle relationships, and the way you carry responsibility. Where once you hesitated, you will act. Where once you were overlooked, you will stand out. Where once you doubted your worth, you will know without question that you carry heaven's imprint. This unfolding is not only for your benefit, it is for those whose lives will be changed through you. Transformation is never meant to stop with the one who receives it. It flows outward, touching everything and everyone connected to your purpose. Chosen one. The personal transformation you are entering is irreversible. You cannot go back to who you were before, because heaven is rewriting your identity. Accept it, embrace it, and walk in it. What once defined you no longer has authority, because a greater truth now speaks over your life. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Chosen one, as transformation unfolds within you, the alignments around you will begin to shift. Not every relationship that has walked with you until now will continue into the new season. This is not punishment nor rejection, but destiny making space for what is necessary. Some people were part of your wilderness journey, but they cannot step with you into the promised place. Others were temporary companions for seasons of pain or learning, but their role in your story is complete. Release them without bitterness, for heaven itself has ordained the separation. At the same time, new connections will appear, seemingly out of nowhere. These people will carry keys, wisdom, and opportunities that match the path you are now walking. Some will speak words that confirm what heaven has already whispered to your spirit. Others will open doors you could never have opened yourself. They will not be ordinary acquaintances. Their presence will carry weight, as though you have known them longer than a single encounter. These alignments are not accidental. They are answers to prayers you prayed long ago, though you may not recognize them immediately. Do not be surprised if tension rises as old relationships begin to fade. Those who cannot understand your growth may try to pull you back into patterns you have already outgrown. Some will misinterpret your transformation as arrogance or distance, but it is not pride, it is purpose. You cannot shrink to fit into spaces that no longer hold your destiny. Stand firm in love, but also in clarity, for you know where heaven is leading you. Chosen one, alignments are more than friendships or partnerships. They are destiny links. Heaven places the right people in the right season, and their presence accelerates what God has already begun in you. At the same time, heaven removes those who would slow you down or distort your vision. Trust this process. It may feel uncomfortable, but pruning always comes before increase. As these alignments unfold, you will notice that your circle may grow smaller but deeper. It is not about the number of voices around you, but the quality of the voices speaking into you. Heaven is refining your environment so that every voice, every influence, every partnership contributes to the fulfillment of your call. Chosen one, do not mourn the loss of what is leaving. Celebrate the arrival of what is coming. For in this season, heaven is not only transforming who you are, but also surrounding you with those who will walk beside you as destiny unfolds. Trust the alignments, for they are divinely arranged. Chosen one, the door has been unlocked, the path has been cleared, and heaven has placed the handle in your hand. Yet the final step is not God's to take, it is yours. The most carefully prepared opportunity still requires the courage of obedience. This is the moment when hesitation must be cast aside, when fear must be silenced, and when you must decide to walk through what has been placed before you. The open door will not announce itself with fanfare, nor will it wait forever. It will appear as a choice, a prompting, a quiet but undeniable nudge in your spirit that says, now is the time. To walk through it will demand faith, for you will not always see what lies on the other side. But faith has always been the currency of heaven. What God has prepared cannot be received by comfort, only by courage. Joshua 1-9 declares, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." This is the word you must carry as you cross the threshold. Fear will try to whisper that you are not ready. Doubt will try to convince you that you are unworthy. The enemy will attempt to remind you of every past failure. But heaven's declaration over you is louder. You have been prepared, you are appointed, and you are not walking alone. As you step forward, expect resistance. Every open door of destiny is guarded by the temptation to turn back. The unknown will test your resolve, and the weight of responsibility will press against your decision. But remember, the door is not open because of your strength. It is open because of God's command. No force of darkness can shut what He has opened. Your role is simply to step through. Chosen one, walking through the open door is more than an act of faith. It is an act of agreement. It is your yes to the will of heaven, your partnership with the orchestration that has been unfolding for years. As you move forward, the ground will steady beneath your feet, the provision will meet you on the path, and the right voices will surround you. But none of it will manifest until you move. Do not linger at the threshold. Do not waste the moment heaven has prepared. Step boldly, for the door is open and your future is waiting. Chosen one, there will come a moment when the waiting is no longer waiting, when the questions no longer echo unanswered, and when the promise you once held only in faith becomes the reality you walk in each day. This is the life you are stepping into, the life where prayers turn to testimonies, and what you once longed for in the secret place becomes tangible in your hands. You will notice the change not only in what you receive, but in who you are becoming as you live in the fulfillment. Gratitude will shape your perspective. Joy will flow even in ordinary moments. Peace will anchor you in ways you never experienced before. The struggles of the past will not disappear from memory, but they will lose their power to define you. They will instead become reminders of how far you have been carried, evidence of the faithfulness that brought you here. Living in fulfillment does not mean the absence of challenges, but it does mean the presence of clarity. You will find yourself making decisions with confidence, speaking with authority, and walking with a sense of purpose that cannot be shaken. You will realize that the path you are on is not random, but intentional, and that each step is connected to something larger than yourself. People around you will begin to notice. Some will be drawn to the light you carry, others may question how you arrived where you are. Their reactions will not matter as much as your awareness that this is the season you were always meant to reach. You will see opportunities flow more freely, relationships align more naturally, and provisions arrive more consistently. What once felt like striving will now feel like breathing, because you are no longer chasing the promise, you are living in it. Chosen one. The fulfillment of the promise is not simply about answered prayers. It is about alignment with destiny. It is the place where your gifts find expression, where your efforts bear fruit, and where your story inspires others to believe again. You are no longer waiting outside the gate, you are walking in the garden. Every moment, every detail, every breath in this season will remind you that heaven has been faithful, and that your life has entered the rhythm of promise fulfilled. Chosen one. Stepping into fulfillment is not the end of your journey, it is the beginning of a greater responsibility. When the promise becomes reality, the temptation to relax, to lower your guard, to grow comfortable will be strong. But fulfillment is not meant to lull you into complacency. It is meant to position you for even greater purpose. To remain steadfast is to recognize that what you have received is sacred, and to protect it with the same faith and vigilance that carried you through the waiting season. You will soon discover that the challenges do not disappear after a breakthrough. They simply change form. Where once you fought discouragement in the silence, now you will fight distraction in abundance. Where once you battled doubt, now you will face the subtle pull of pride. The enemy will not stop resisting you simply because you have entered the promise. If anything, his attempts will intensify, for he fears what you will accomplish when you remain focused and steadfast in this season. Remaining steadfast means guarding your heart against the illusions of ease. It means remembering that the fulfillment you now enjoy is not only for your comfort, but for your calling. The blessings are real, the opportunities tangible, but they are also tools placed in your hands for a higher purpose. If you use them only for yourself, they will fade. But if you steward them with vision and faith, they will multiply and impact lives far beyond your own. Chosen one. Steadfastness requires discipline. It calls you to wake each day with the awareness that you are walking in something holy. It calls you to resist the urge to compare your journey with others or to measure your worth by fleeting achievements. It calls you to anchor yourself in what is eternal, even as the world celebrates what is temporary. When storms come, and they will, your stability will be found not in what you hold, but in who has carried you this far. The call to remain steadfast is not a warning meant to burden you. It is an invitation to longevity. It is heaven's reminder that promises are not just moments, but lifetimes. If you guard what has been entrusted to you, if you remain unwavering when pressures rise, your influence will outlast the season and ripple into generations. Chosen one. Hold firm. Celebrate what has come, but do not lose focus. The same vigilance that sustained you in the wilderness must sustain you in the promise. To remain steadfast is to secure not only your present blessing, but your eternal legacy. Chosen one. You must never forget that what is unfolding in your life now is not the final destination. It is a chapter, a stage, a portion of something far greater, the eternal story God has been writing since before the foundations of the world. Every blessing, every breakthrough, every open door is not an end in itself, but a glimpse of what eternity holds. If you only see the promise as something temporary, you will miss the depth of its meaning. This season is preparation not just for influence on earth, but for glory in eternity. There will be moments when you feel as though you have reached the peak, when fulfillment seems complete. Yet heaven whispers that there is more than you can see, more than you can measure, more than you can achieve within the limits of this world. The transformation you are living is not simply about opportunity, wealth, or recognition. It is about shaping you into someone who reflects the eternal kingdom, someone who carries the fragrance of heaven into a world desperate for hope. The eternal perspective requires you to lift your eyes beyond the immediate. It challenges you to see that today's obedience impacts tomorrow's generations. What you choose to build now, how you choose to live, and the legacy you leave behind will echo beyond your lifetime. The promise you walk in is not just for you. It is a seed planted for those who will come after you. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. 2 Corinthians 4:17. This glory cannot be measured in earthly terms, but it will become the anchor of your soul as you press forward. Chosen one, when you walk with the eternal in view, even difficulties shift their meaning. Trials no longer feel like punishment, but like refining fires shaping you for everlasting purpose. Success no longer tempts you into pride, because you recognize it as a tool for something greater. Every step, whether in joy or struggle, becomes part of a divine process, leading you closer to eternity's reality. To live with eternal perspective is to refuse to be trapped by the moment. It is to see beyond applause, beyond criticism, beyond immediate gain or loss. It is to anchor yourself in what will last forever. And when you do, the weight of this world cannot crush you, nor can its pleasures seduce you. You will stand as one who knows their life is not merely about today, but about eternity breaking into time. Chosen one, the hour has come. Everything spoken over your life, everything whispered in the silence, everything protected and preserved through years of waiting, is now converging into this moment. You stand on holy ground, at the threshold of destiny, and heaven is calling you to rise without hesitation. No longer can you afford to question whether you are ready. No longer can you allow fear or doubt to delay your steps. The time for wondering has passed. The time for walking has arrived. This charge is not given lightly. It carries the weight of eternity. You have been chosen not simply to receive blessings, but to embody purpose. You are not called to blend into the crowd, but to stand as a living testimony of heaven's faithfulness. Your life is not your own. It has been marked, sealed, and commissioned for something greater. The trials you endured were not accidents. They were training. The tears you cried were not wasted. They were seeds. The prayers you whispered were not ignored. They were stored for release. And now the release is here. Chosen one, do not underestimate the significance of your obedience in this hour. When you step forward, you are not only securing your own promise, you are unlocking blessings for generations to come. When you say yes to the call, you are breaking chains that bound your family line and opening pathways that others thought impossible. Your courage today becomes the inheritance of tomorrow. This is why heaven urges you with such urgency, because your decision carries more weight than you realize. There will be voices that question you, forces that resist you, and distractions that seek to pull you aside, but you must remain unwavering. The fire within you is stronger than the winds around you. The mark on your life is greater than the opposition you face. You have been prepared for this very hour, and the heavens themselves lean in to witness your response. Chosen one, this is the charge. Step boldly into your calling, embrace without fear the transformation already rising within you, and walk through every door heaven has opened. Do not look back, for the past has served its purpose. Do not delay, for the future is pressing into the present. Do not doubt, for the one who has begun this work in you will complete it. This is your moment. This is your commission. This is your destiny. Rise, chosen one, for the story heaven has written is waiting to be lived through you. Father, I lift up this chosen one before you, thanking you for every tear they have shed, every season they have endured, and every step that has led them to this very moment. And now I ask that courage would rise in their heart, that fear and doubt would be silenced, that their spirit would be steady as they walk through the door. You have opened. Let every promise written over them be fulfilled in its time. Let every chain that has held them be broken. Let every blessing appointed for them flow without delay. And may their life become a living testimony of your faithfulness as they remain steadfast, unshaken, and fully surrendered to the purpose you have ordained. For you are with them, you go before them, and you will complete what you have begun. In the name of Jesus, Amen.